It's good. Spoiler alert. It's fucking good. It's a good book. It's a damn good book. Yes. Yes. Woo! Rock, you can write.
This is now my favorite completed series of all time. How? I asked to the heavens, how? And you know how it did to me? I think it's the favorite of my. I think it's the. I think it's my favorite of the series.
Damn, man. What are you? He's the GOAT.
Your intro was a little off.
Oh, was I?
You said it's a damn good book. It's more than that.
Welcome everyone to the Tutorial Podcast. My name is Richard.
I am Austin.
As you can tell, I'm a little energized because we're talking about Suneater. We're talking about the final book of Suneater, Shadows Upon Time, the 7th book of the Suneater saga. We've been waiting for it. We've been itching for it. We're actually timely for once. Sort of. Kinda. In our own way. It's good. Spoiler alert. It's fucking good. It's a good book. It's a damn good book. Yes. Yes. Woo! Rock, you can write. This whole, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but it's going to be a lot of gushing. I'm going to try my absolute damnedest to give some criticism. And I think I got something. I got little points to pick, and, you know, Rockio needs some criticism so he can bring into his next series. He's gotta, you know, to learn, but damn, man. What are you? He's the GOAT.
Your intro was a little off.
Oh, was
You
I?
said it's a damn good book. It's more than that. I'm sorry for slapping it, but that's your copy.
Yeah,
I shouldn't do
that's
that with your
my
copy. I'm
copy.
sorry. I got a little frisky with it because it's not my copy's back home. Guys. Okay. Shadows Upon Time. We're gonna do spoiler free up through book 6, just for people who have not read this yet. So don't worry, we're not gonna spoil this book till we say spoiler warning. But we will be spoiling books 1 through 6. Then we'll give you our warning. Shadows Upon Time is the 7th book in Suneater. For those that don't know, if you haven't started the series, you must, I implore you, because this is now my favorite completed series of all time. It's bar none. My spoiler-free rating is 5 stars. Screw waiting until the end of our spoiler-free section. 5 stars. Floored me.
Also here, 5 stars. Yeah.
This is how you end a book series. This is textbook classic, certified classic now. I said this online too. It does not stick the landing. It super glues it and then tapes it and then puts Play-Doh and then sticks it to the wall and then pounds it with an anvil. No, with a hammer. With a hammer on an anvil, but it's on the wall. So maybe you put it's actually on it. It's taped to the anvil. It's glued to the anvil. It's so good. It's okay. So we just came back from the Suneater Gala. We read this book. And
I'm wearing a shirt, by the way. I got a shirt there. Thanks, Rockio. That's cool.
This thing is unbelievable.
Yeah. Also, I just want to acknowledge the cover goes hard.
Goes very hard.
I do judge a book by its cover. It's the only way I judge a book, and this cover goes hard.
Rich, tell the peons who have not started Suneater why they should read this series. It's book 7, but what if somebody here hasn't even read book 1?
Yeah.
They don't even know what we're talking about.
So, do you want the biggest sci-fi opera of the modern day? Read Suneater. Do you want a story that takes the idea of journey before destination and fulfills that thematic promise in the most satisfying way possible? Read Suneater. Do you want the aura farming that you get from anime and other common things that people like nowadays? You gotta read Hadrian Marlowe and the Suneater. He aura farms a lot in this book, and it's pretty great. Do you want epic action, wonderful sci-fi politicking, and, you know, the nobles of kings and just dominion on the most epic of large scales, then diving even deeper into themes of faith. What is the meaning of life? Why do we continue to strive? Why do we struggle every day? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful story. It's an epic story. It's Hadrian's story. And it is over. Go read this
There
series.
are no endings, Richard.
But this is one.
Now, folks, go read the series, because now we're going to talk about books 1 through 6. We're not going to spoil this book yet, but that's for those of you who have not read the series at all yet. Now, spoiling books 1 through 6. So go away if you don't want to hear any of that. Rich and I were in a precarious situation. Okay, this is story time. We're on fire. Okay.
Story time? Okay.
We read Disquiet Gods, and as soon as I got to chapter 40 of that book and ended up finishing the book in its entire, I was both ecstatic and also deeply upset, because reading that book, to me, it was one of my favorite books ever. It's top 5, top 10 book. It's up there. I don't just think that is a literary masterpiece to me, and I will sing its praises. You can go check out our review of that. You can check out all of our reviews before and how we've progressed over this series. It was bittersweet, because it was so perfect, but at the same time, it was the penultimate book. And how can I not have my expectations raised for the 7th book of this series after having loved Disquiet Gods that much? Also, with that, a little side tangent of the story time is, we have been disappointed by a series finale in the past. I won't spoil the books at all, but if people know our channel a little bit, we are massive Stormlight Archive fans and have read that series, and I didn't like Rhythm of War as much, which was the 4th book, and then Wind and Truth obliterated it for me. It didn't just disappoint me. I think it's a bad book, and we've talked about that a lot. But also, side note, loved 95% of Sanderson's books. Just that one was the one that had all this anticipation, all this expectation, and failed for me, failed for us. So I had that going in mind. And having Disquiet Gods being what it was. This was set up and doomed to fail in some way. And Rocchio beat out all of that. So if there was anybody to go in as somewhat of a skeptic, even though I must say I trusted Rocchio and his writing, but it was just doomed to have these bad looming expectations on it. And on top of that, just the finishing any series at all, is such an impossible, such a hard ask, because you have to satisfy and justify 7 books.
It goes beyond, like, ending a trilogy is very difficult. A satisfying ending to a trilogy. Difficult, hard. The longer a series goes, the harder that ending becomes. It builds anticipation, your opening plot lines, and how do you satisfy everything? The longer it gets, the higher your expectations are of a satisfying conclusion. This is 7 books. I know there's things like Wheel of Time, there's Malazan, there's Harry Dresden, there's other longer series out there, I understand, but 7's that's a long series.
Especially
that's a lot of books.
Especially when your 7th book is 3 to 4 books, the size of 3 to 4 books.
Nearly 400,000 words.
This book was originally 425,000 words, but Rocchio had it cut by 50,000 words, and the final copy is 375,000 words. Okay, which is over 100,000 words more than the biggest novels in the series, which was previously Demon White and Disquiet Gods. Those were the tying for around the same word count, around 270,000. This one, the longest by far, about the size of The Way of Kings, just to give you perspective. This was 3 books in and of itself, and it actually feels, this is a good thing, this is a positive thing, it feels like you get 3 books worth of stuff to 4 books worth of stuff in this book. In
addition, I do want to get across a feeling from this book.
Mm-hmm.
With a book this length, and how a lot of large epic series will tend to be, is it can either feel very, the end of a series will feel rushed, they have to, introduce new things to close up plot lines, and it feels rushed to the finish line, because they've procrastinated the rest of the series, and so it feels like a mad rush to the end. This does not feel rushed. There's one really big, new stuff, but most of the stuff in here is not new. It's not new things, but it's everything being concluded at a good pace. It's really well done. In addition, long books can often have the feeling of like feeling stretched. Like if a book is way too long, you'll think, did this need to be here? Was it cut? Like this could have been cut. They're spending too much time on side tangents and little side quests. Not the same feeling. It does feel purposeful. This is not stretched. It's just correct. It's the correct length.
91 chapters in this book, in this delightful book. I'm going to only say this once. You'll never hear me thank this person again, but thank you, Coop, for having us read this series, okay? That's
Thanks,
enough
bud.
of you. Thanks, Coop. We came back from the gala where we saw and met a bunch of booktubers for the release event for Shadows Upon Time.
Bunch of you guys out there.
Thank you so much.
Shout out to all the Red Company Discord people.
They were awesome. And to our own Discord. We had a To Ramble Discord meetup.
Yeah.
Or at least not an official meetup, but there was a bunch of us in one room in one area, which was super cool. If you want to join that Discord, check out our Patreon link in the description below. We actually have a little bonus. We have some bonus footage that we filmed at Rockio's house for an interview that will be on Patreon only. So if you want to go check that out.
We decided that would be Patreon only?
Yes.
Okay.
That's Patreon only, yeah.
Fair enough.
A little special thing for them. So now, shout out to everybody who we met and talked to. It's fantastic. And the general consensus we're seeing, it's very early on because we are filming this literally Wednesday, the day after the book was officially released. And the consensus from the few that have read it already, all the early readers, has been tremendous and very, very, very positive from what I've seen.
To be fair, that does tend to be the case of early reactions will, the people who get it early, they're the most passionate, will often be the most positive. So we don't know how the reaction is going to see. I'm fairly confident people are going to love this.
Because where we left off in Disquiet Gods, we've been following Hadrian's journey, and we end up, he is with Consagora, or half of Consagora, or 1/1000th of Consagora, however you want to put it. And while there's the battle for Vergosos, he takes the Demiurge, and we're introduced to this creature, Orphan, at the very end, has 2 heads. And this creature, Orphan, who is manning the ship, or orphaning the ship, the Demiurge, which has the capacity on that ship to blow up a sun.
So this is the ship that Hadrian is on in the very first chapter of the book. He has the means to destroy the sun. We're at the tail end. He has the means. He has the reason. All that's set is set the battlefield in place.
How does he do it?
How does he do it?
Why are we so curious? We know what happens in this book. Why are you so curious to read this book? You know he blows up the sun. You know. Why do you want to read it? Why? Well, Rockio asks you that very question. It justifies it in Disquiet Gods itself. Just saying like, hey, journey before destination. Even though that you know the fate of things, you know the end, you know that entropy is there and we will all wither, the suns will disappear. Yet for some reason you feel like you have the will to go on and are invested in this story, in our life's story. Beautiful book. And that's just one of the several angles of why Disquiet Gods was a masterpiece. And how could this shape up to it? How? I asked to the heavens. How? And you know how it did? To me, I think it's the favorite of my. I think it's my favorite of the series. I'm gonna wait till after the discussion,
of course,
to confirm that. But it is here and here, and depending on how much Rich teeters my daughter, we will see where it goes. My God,
I'm with you. To me, it's so close. However, I give the edge to Shadows Upon Time because it's the end of the series, and it's a harder thing to do. That's a difficult accomplishment. The ending matters. The ending does matter. Like we're talking about Journey Before Destination. But ending a series in a satisfying way is difficult. It's important. Ending can often ruin the journey if you're reading a story, like very often. So the fact that it did it so well, gives it the edge for me of my favorite Suneater book.
And if you want to see our rating breakdown, look on screen. You're going to see a lot of similar numbers, I'm sure. But look on screen. That's our rating breakdown. And I do want to ask here, before you skip what you're about to see for the next minutes, This is a smaller company, World Anvil, who we've been working with for a while, and I wanted to put their ad in a video that we know will do well. So please give this ad a quick look to support World Anvil. They've been kind enough to sponsor us, even though they're not getting a ton of traction from us sponsoring them on some episodes. I wanted to put their ad here because we know it's going to get more views. Check out World Anvil. World Anvil, thank you for sponsoring this episode. WorldAnvil.com has all of your world building needs. If you're a D&D player, if you're a storyteller, you can character build, map build, create histories on their site using their free features. So go check them out at WorldAnvil.com. They're awesome.
World Anvil believes in their product, that they're allowed to use all these great features for free. But if you want to actually use some of the more advanced stuff, you want to use a little bit more, you can use the code Ramble to get 50% off a yearly subscription to this. Go check them out. The map building is fantastic. The character building sheets, incredibly useful with great timeline and connecting these family trees. If you're a big fan of planning out D&D campaigns, or you're an author trying to plan out your next big epic sci-fi series, go check out World Anvil.
Check the link in the description below. Use code Ramble if you want to use their full features. Thank you a bunch for sponsoring this episode. And now we're back to Shadows Upon Time.
Thanks, World Anvil. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. But now, Rich, do you want to... we both said 5 stars. We both talked and gushed enough about this. The whole experience of this, I can't believe we're here. And would you agree with my statement? Maybe you won't, but this is it's my favorite completed series I've ever read, especially sci-fi series, for sure.
If you're telling me sci-fi series, definitely I'm with you 100%. It's close to Wheel of Time for me. I do have a deep emotional connection to the Wheel of Time that it's a unique experience I have not really felt in any other series yet, even with Suneater, but it's damn close. It's up there with
Something got close to it.
I do love Wheel of Time. So the fact that this is in that realm, means a lot to me.
Rich, anything else you want to say before we go into spoilers?
Yeah, at this point, go read the book. If you're watching book 7 and you haven't caught up or anything, that's on you. It's time to go into spoilers.
Spoiler territory. This is your warning. We are about to talk the talk on Shadows Upon Time. You've been warned. You've been spoiler warned. Giving you another couple seconds to tune out. And here we go.
Alrighty.
So we're going to start this conversation with a little plot snapshot. And our goal here is to do this in just 2 minutes or less. So we're not going to go over every single detail. So this is just to get us caught up to speed. Depends how long ago you read it, just to get some reminders out here. So the intro of the book, we get the Vorgosos recap from different characters' point of views. And it's why Hadrian is on the run. We figured out that the Chantry actually is using daemons and the daemons and technology. Old Earth is actually
AI.
here.
Yeah.
Yes, AI is here. Hadrian convinces Aloran to go to the Empire with him, and is showing the Chantry's betrayal to the Empire, to the Emperor. I'm going to skip a little bit here just to not go over every single detail of this, because he visits Annika to show Aloran, hey, look, entropy's reversed here, yada yada. Basically convinces him. Goes to the Empire. To reveal Chantry's betrayal and how he has this capacity to destroy the sun with the astrophage, I believe it's called. After this, we get the confrontation on Danu with Doriaika, and the first big battle we get in this first third of the book. We see Hadrian not using the Suneater quite yet because Cassandra sneakily goes onto the planet.
Even
context. Yep.
More so, this was another instance of Hadrian trying to avoid eating the sun, coming up with another way to destroy Doriaika and the other Watchers through a different weapon that wouldn't blow up the sun, would only sacrifice himself, but fails because of Cassandra is there.
Having failed, he goes to the Gadadan system, which is the system where he destroys the sun, and we know this is. And he knows the future. He knows this is the final stand, and they're going to take it on Gadadan, but not without trouble from Alexander and the Chantry, who do everything they can to throw him off his game. And, for example, they block off all communications and don't let the comms come in, which makes it so that Hadrian and co. find out that the Eternal City, where the Empire's entire stronghold is, was destroyed 2 years ago while they were evacuating people on Gododin, while there was chaos and riots happening because lack of food, because Hadrian's been telling everybody that Doriaika and the Watchers are coming. They are coming now. And everybody's starting to not believe, hey, it's been a couple years. Where's Doriaika now? And they find out the Chantries have been fighting against them.
Hadrian was wrong. They weren't coming straight to Gododin. They went to Forum first to destroy the Eternal City.
And the climax, Doriaika and the Watchers eventually do come while we get some back and forth with Hadrian becomes Octor at one point, and then by the end actually becomes Emperor. And Alexander's still fighting against it with every single move, while the Emperor himself, before Hadrian, is dying. He's slowly dying. He's in this.
He has the rot, this disease that the extrasolarians have propagated across the galaxy that uses the same cancer that the Americani have used to basically twist and mutate the body.
In the end, Hadrian does destroy the sun, but the Gododin system was already destroyed, or the Gododin planet was destroyed by one of the Cielcin warships because they started using their ships, using the Hold'em maneuver.
I'm so shocked we didn't say that to
Rocky's
face of the Cielcin start using the Holdo maneuver from Star Wars: The Last Jedi. They start using their planet, like warp drive to just like
take out planets
and other ships.
I can't wait to see this on the big screen. Okay. Yeah. It destroys the sun, but then we get another 10 chapters ish after the destroying of the sun and see Hadrian's epilogue in a way. And
but catching us up from Hadrian destroying the sun to how he gets to where he is in the present day of how does he get to God help me out with the name of the Colchis writing his story.
And the short version of that, which we'll get into in our entire discussion, short version is he sends Selene and Edward away to get away from this whole
Selene.
Oh, sorry. Cassandra. His daughter Cassandra sends them away to be safe because since Hadrian's emperor, but he's still the Chantry and Alexander are after him and his every move, he's giving up. He's giving up the fight, doesn't want to go on. But we see at the very end of this, as he's writing, there's 2 wine cups, and it seems like Selene, that's how it's pronounced, not Selene, Selene, we'll try to get it right, is actually with him, and he's trying to throw everybody off their tail because he says in the story Alexander ends up hanging him.
Yep.
But clearly, there's more to it than that. Okay, that's just a quick summary part. There's a lot more we will discuss. Just wanted to give people some context, catch you up if it's been a while. Emotional impact, would you give it out of 5 stars, Rich? What's your rating?
5, it floored me.
Yep, 5 floored me. I'm a little pissed. I'm like, why is it 5? Why is it 5,
Why is
Rich?
it 5?
Yeah.
God.
Let's go. Okay, emotions. My God.
Okay, you want me to cheat? Like, I cheered out loud of like, oh my God. Many different times. I was on the verge of tears. I was tearing up a little bit with the scenes between Hadrian and Cassandra, his daughter. God. The waxing poetry from Hadrian was moving. The battles were epic and exciting. Everything. Like, this book is going for the feelings of grandiose epic scale. You're supposed to feel kind of in awe, this larger than life epic. But then you have the closer moments of Hadrian the man, and you really feel this as a swan song of the ending. The ending is like already going to be very bittersweet. Like, yeah, Hadrian's going to win the day, but at what cost? And what is it going to put him through? What is he going to lose along the way? And ultimately, everything he does for humanity, empire, and everyone. And how is he rewarded for all of his sacrifice with a rope around his neck? So it feels like a great swan song. He's an epic character, but he's heading to the gallows, and like it's pretty great. That's amazing. Other emotions it's trying to make you feel is continue on.
When somebody asks me what is a space opera, I'll point to Suneater. This book, my God, the epicness of the space opera, the battle sequences, the scale. I myself love when a story can get narrow because it's very easy to screw up scale and the enormity. It's very hard to pull off. My goodness. If the scale was already stepped up in a level in Disquiet Gods, and then it exceeds that here. We get the battle for Hadrian's soul against the Watchers and Ushara, him showing, like, emotional moment of him showing Cassandra getting killed thousands of times over and over and over again, shoving it in his face, and that torture to Hadrian, and this fight for himself, really, and can he choose to stay away from the Watchers and what they want him to do. There's also so many aura moments we could talk about. I have one scene here, for example, and this is more narrow in scale, but where Alexander is pushing back in one of the many instances against Hadrian here. And Hadrian finally says this. He goes, "I spread my hands, showed that they were empty. Strike, dear boy," I said. "If you think you can, I assure you, your blade will find naught but air." The prince snapped his sword from its catch, never braver than in that moment. I was proud of him. It was no small thing to stand against me, to take up arms against a hero of legend. But he did. The blade sprung forth and he lunged, lancing out as Alexander swung the weapon in an arc that should have cloven me in two from hip to collarbone. I saw the blade flash under me and through me, felt no pain. My hand caught his wrist as he reached his acme of his swing, held him fast. Just even in that moment, it's him like
the energy of like, oh, it is no small thing to stand against me.
A legend.
Like,
no, I was
brave of you.
I was proud of him because he's the student of his. Wait, did I just? No, I said this.
No,
it's this student of his, and he's literally looking at being attacked, being like, "This is good. I'm happy for him." Because this means a lot. He's grown in this moment. He's actually being brave for once. The student that I failed is standing against Hadrian Marlowe.
Well, that's like the thing is, that's almost like that's a villain line right there.
Yeah,
of like just knowing how like looking down the small hero trying to come up against you and going like, mighty brave, dear hero, to stand against
I have the quiet on my side. I'm a legend of ages. You are but a mere princeling. And there's an infinite amount of those in this book. How much of that is there? And I'm sorry to say this, Demon in White, great and all, but there's 10 moments in this book that are bigger than the shield block moment. I'll stand by that. There's every moment hits, whether it's against Alexander or against the Ushar or against Doriaika himself. Oh my goodness. And it's the way that's framed as well. Because what makes that such a powerful scene now is just him recognizing his mythos in front of everybody. He knows.
I don't think, other than to Cassandra, I don't think he really lies to anyone else. He's done. He's given up on...
He lies to us, the reader.
Yeah, he does actually lie. But like, the fact that he accepts who he is and that he's just kind of telling everybody of like, yep, this is what the Quiet are. I'm giving you all the inside baseball secrets. Like, yeah, no, there's literal fallen angels, the Watchers. They're controlling things. He's just giving all this information out and saying like, yeah, I'm, chosen by God to save humanity. And like, I can see across the fabric of time and space. And people are just like, what? No, it's like, shove a sword through me, try. Oh, look at that.
Even at the point in the end where they were not willing to test, he thought God or the Quiet, after destroying the sun, he could not see anymore. He did not know if God was still answering him. Where's the Quiet? The Quiet disappeared. What's happening? But people weren't even willing to test killing him when who knows? He could have died. We don't know because there was a
little difference of he didn't see the future anymore in the sense of like the prophecies are gone, but he still does have the time abilities. Like he could see the multiple presents. He still has all that stuff.
But what would have happened in that moment? I don't know. But they didn't even test killing him. They weren't even going to try it. And you mentioned the moment with Cassandra, if he lies to her at least. And remember that scene where she's dying over and over and over again in this psychological battle that Ushar is playing on him. And in the end, this more epilogue portion, the end of the novel, where he's lying to Cassandra to potentially save her so that she does not have to go into what he is. And he says this, I hesitated, blinked back tears. Did you know? You must. Okay, I can't read that part because there was sun on the page, but I'll say this. Your face was grave, pale marble, and the smile on your face cut sharp and deep. I will see you again, Yuzu said. A question? Yes. I inhaled sharply. A lie. How many times had I seen your death? How many thousand times? I would never see your life. Oh, just emotions like that of referring to all the context of the series that we already know. And he's the poetry. He does such a good job here. And this book it does such a good job at weaving together all of those payoff moments that we've been wanting. And this book is just payoff after payoff. It's so satisfying.
I do have to just acknowledge, I do love, from the beginning of the series, people talk about like, oh, Hadrian, the melodramatic. Mm-hmm. And they talk about how melodramatic Hadrian is. And even in the future, Hadrian talks about it. It's not mentioned once in this final book because melodramatic is more of like exaggeration. It's, taking a mundane and trying to make it extraordinary.
Oh, this is just dramatic.
Nothing
mellow about this.
Nothing mellow. He is playing the game of the gods, and he is touched and chosen by, the creator of the universe.
The egg,
the quiet. So it's like, no, he's not being melodramatic. He's not even being dramatic. It's just truthful. He is above everyone else. He's playing a different game. I do love that.
So a thought that I had when going into this book, just speaking emotionally, right? Where were my feels at? Mm-hmm. The first 15-ish chapters, 10 chapters where we were getting a perspective from the book that we'd never gotten before. Every book, no book has started like this has. Mm-hmm. So with the exception of Ashes of Man, starting right after Kingdoms of Death, because those were originally one book, but there's always a time skip, and we
normally
jump into
a
something
significant one.
This, sure, we get a time skip. However,
we get 5 years.
We also get a recap, though. We get a retelling when he's speaking to a Lauren and describing what happens on Vergosis, and we have the room of people there, and we get perspective from Gashal, from the Cielson, from Ramathanu, his Cielson, and others, right?
And Cassandra,
others too, I'm sure. But so, what did you think about that start? I know we talked about it a little bit. What did you think? Because I want to say what Rockio said when we interviewed him as well.
Sure, yeah.
But what do you have to say?
So what I felt about it was I was a little nervous.
Mm-hmm.
The multi-POV right at the beginning, I was getting flashbacks to Wind and Truth. I'm like, no, please don't fundamentally change the form of the book, the final book. Please don't do that.
Yep.
No, just keep going.
We had the same thoughts.
Please, please. I was nervous. It did feel a little different. Some of them were better than others. Like, I think it was more interesting to get Ramanthanu's position. I just, how does the Cielson view the battle? Thought it was kind of interesting that on that side. Also hearing getting Cassandra's point of view, I think was particularly valuable since, Hadrian's daughter, you want to really empathize with her character more. But beyond that, I was also very curious of the fact that I feel like this story really could have been told just linearly of why tell it in past tense? Why tell it in these stories where we could have just picked right up at that point and continued. So I'm not sure. It was the more questioning part. But Christopher Rocchio told us that the reason he did it was mostly spite. That, hey, people made comments and people talking he can't write multiple POV multiple perspectives. That's too difficult for him. And he's like, bet. It's not that hard. Here you go. I can do it too.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing of, man, don't change the whole format and structure of the books that have all worked.
Yeah.
And the final book, what are we doing? And it seems like the justification there is we find out very clearly what the Chantry have. And that's a reveal moment of the Chantry do have AI. and daemons and so forth, and getting that. Also, he likes to start his books off with a bang of a battle and so forth. So that's our little space opera mini-series part where we get to see, okay, the fallout of Vorgosos and what happened, and we also get the intro with Lorien. So there was necessary stuff and information. Could that have been told in a different way? Yes. I was actually reading that part of the book going, ooh, okay. I was not convinced yet, but the rest of the book justifies it enough to where also, that was 5 books ago. It felt like so long ago in the actual text itself. So just wanted to say that's where our emotions were, because I know we talked about that in a car at some point after we got to a certain point in the book. And the moment of switch for me when this book became very special, it always happens in these books, especially Disquiet Gods in this for me. That midpoint where just, oh my goodness, the buildup has happened. It wasn't, and Disquiet Gods again had the battle at Sabratha.
Right, the beginning.
That was an epic thing, and then we get the rest of the book, right? So that's the climax of other books, was just the first act. And then in this, we also get the first act. He already battles Doriaika on Danu, and we see him go to Danu and trying to save these 3,000 or so people that look very much like Switch because they have all red hair. And
well, it's the planet Switch is from.
Exactly, yeah. And so that already happens, and that's just our first act portion. But where this book just, boom, next level for me, it's the midpoint where we're on Gododin and the politicking with Alexander and the Chantry. And Gododin, the visceral, oh my God, we get on the ground. What this book felt like is we got to explore the characters and went scene by scene unlike any of the other books. It was very much, it took its time. It paced itself. It did not rush to the ending. It did not blaze there. It very much soaked and let you appreciate every chapter. Let you appreciate, hey, look how much we've built up to this moment. Let's enjoy this chapter. Hey, look how much we built up to this chapter. Enjoy this chapter. Everything just felt so rewarded.
And on top of that, like, other than the Chantry, I think the biggest reveal, so to speak, so I think Disquiet Gods had the biggest reveal. That's the reveal book. Like, that, all the stuff is coming out about what the Watchers are, what the Quiet is, the secret to Hadrian's abilities, what's going to happen in the future, all the secrets of Consagara, all the Americani, all this stuff is coming out. That's the big reveal book. This book has significantly less big reveals. The biggest one being the nature of the Chantry, the fact that Old Earth is...
One more big reveal. So it's nature of Chantry, but also the genetic engineering, the Palatines, all comes back to the Emperor.
Yes.
That was another major reveal.
Yes and no. I mean, it is
you
a
didn't
reveal.
Think that was a big reveal?
I don't think it's as big because I kind of suspected that to be true. I thought that was
really
more self-evident.
I thought that was a pretty big reveal, especially that's why Jad was able to, but the Jadians are able to have their own their own their own culture because they actually got their key, and so it makes sense why it put together and made sense why the Palatines aren't just in constant rebellion as well. So, anyways, that was another major reveal to me. But what was your point?
But the point being with this is the reveals are kind of done, or like it's not about the major reveals at this point in the book. It's about appreciating all the things that have been built up. That we've already been to Gododin before. We've Danu being place where Switch was. We've been to Annika before. So this universe already feels lived in. Like we're going back to the highlights. We're seeing these places we've been to before and how they've changed.
It's almost like this. Would you agree with this analogy of if you've been to Yellowstone, right? Let's say
I have not, but
I have not
go
either.
ahead.
I'm just saying, okay, any big national park, right? You go to Yellowstone and you've already been there. This is your second visit to Yellowstone. But he's like, hey, this time put your phone down. Stop taking pictures.
Yeah.
Walk through it. I'm going to have you enjoy Yellowstone. It felt like that. It's just, hey, I'm going to have you focused.
I agree, but because the tension to it, I felt throughout this whole book that, oh my God, this book could end next chapter.
Yep.
He could blow up the sun at any time.
Midpoint could be.
We're in the first, when he goes to Gododin fairly early on in the book, I'm going,
oh, this is going to be a quick one.
We're here. we're at Godon. Like, the sun's right there. Like, when is he going to blow it up? Because it could happen next chapter. I don't know. Like, the Sailor could just come there, and then he blows up the sun, and then it ends. I always felt the sword of Damocles hanging above our head of, like, it could happen anytime. And so the more mundane, and it's the wrong word, but with lack of a better one, the mundane politicking scene was always accompanied by the sun's blowing up. Like, we know it, and it can happen at any point. When's it going to happen? So it added great tension.
Yes. What did you think about the actual scene of the sun exploding? Did all the payoff come? What was it like for you?
Okay. It's very interesting how this scene has been built up so much. And a worry I think both of us had is the feeling that that the blowing up the sun scene was more about like, oh, is Hadrian justified? Do the ends justify the means? Like, because after Kingdoms of Death, we're both like going, blow up the sun. You got it at this point. Like, no, damn the consequences. Like, at this point, the Cielsen are an existential threat to the human race. You have to do anything you can to wipe them out. You have to. Like, that's not like we are dealing with extinction level threat here. Yes, gotta blow up the sun. So I'm on blow up the sun side at this point. There's almost nothing you like, if he's like trying to not do it, like, no. That's not going to be the motivation of him, like, being conflicted about it to a significant degree. That's not the biggest motivation. So I was wondering if that was going to be the emotional pull that during that scene. And it really wasn't, because Gododin's already gone. It was more about the personal of, like, finally letting go, trying to avoid his fate, trying to avoid what the Quiet have ordered him, and seeing all the things that caused it. Realize, like, being resigned to that fact and doing the best he can to mitigate the damage. And it just felt sad of he accomplished, and then that's it. He saved humanity, but what did he really save? He saved humanity and left it still to the Chantry. The Extrasolarians are still out there. Like, and he's left the universe is still in chaos. Man is still at war with man. Yes, they get to live to fight another day. Really.
5 stars, floored me. Emotional impact also comes from I love a bittersweet ending. I love it. And the end portion we get after the sun exploding is so bittersweet. We get the bitter side where what is left of humanity, actually, the big reveal we get, or the reveal we get of the genetic engineering and how the Palatines have control over this, and the key. Well, who has the key? It's actually, we had the Emperor did one last play against the Chantry, knew the Chantry were listening, so made it look like Hadrian had the key, but really, Nicephorus had the key. And just a sentinel, a random sentinel, ended up killing Nicephorus, the last key. And so now all the Palatines are doomed. These are the last Palatines are around.
The Palatine class.
Emperor.
Yeah. So no more Palatine class. The Empire as it is will no longer continue.
The Solon Empire is on a slow death, just like a sun. You know,
Alexander will be the last of his reign. He can no longer have Palatine children.
He blew up a sun, and it was instantaneous death, and the Solon Empire is just a slow ember, and that's what it will be. And so we know it has this inevitable end, but at the same time, we get this positivity of, hey, Hadrian made it, and Hadrian also made it with Selene.
Yeah.
Because we get a little nod toward the end of him telling the reader and showing the reader how you need to unlearn history. Not everything's what you think it is. Because he ends it saying that Alexander, hung him. Well, at least you think he hung him. And really he's on Colchis right now, writing, and he's hoping that this letter,
Well, I think he did actually just come back to life. That's most...
Well, but he's alive.
But he's alive,
He's alive, and he's writing, and he's hoping that this can somehow find Cassandra, because he should not have sent Cassandra away. He feels like that was the wrong way. He just needs to be reunited with his daughter. Where is his daughter? And that it's this hope that, hey, his daughter's out there. still alive. Hadrian has a little bit of this vigor back. There's that spark.
There's two things that send it, like, he's not just a man like living out the rest of his life to die. Of, you know, if he went to Colchis to basically die and like live out the rest of existence in obscurity, complete obscurity, and completely given up.
As the Chantry lies about his myth.
Yeah.
You know?
But in some of the final scenes, he asks Basander Lin to take his sword and bury it on Colchis at a certain grave.
This seemed like he's retiring,
the
right?
defeat, yeah. So a defeated man does not like do all this to like get his, you know, sword back. Like there's a little fight left in him. He wants, you know, he's getting his sword back when he all this planning ends up. In addition of, by the end, he's like, it's time for me to leave Colchis and go out. It's time for me to leave after I've written my story and presumably to go find Cassandra. So, and you get it's a hinted at, it's not confirmed, who knows, but you start playing with some of the more odd aspects of the book is when Cassandra talks about Selene, of there's things of their relationship is probably a lot more intimate and closer than he shares.
Hadrian seems resistant to it. And
Far
why
more
is
resistant.
Selene so invested in this relationship? There must be more behind what's being said.
And there's moments of during a lockdown, like, you know, an emergency in a situation, and he's like, okay, where's Selene? Calls, it's like, where's Selene? Is she safe? And like someone calls on the radio, like, hey, her knight has her locked down in your room. Well, why would she be in his room? Like, that's where she was locked down in. Okay. So there's things like that.
He's also trying to protect her, though. So in these writings, because who's reading this?
Who's reading it? Probably Alexander will probably get to reading it, but there's the also scene of there's 2 wine cups that is cleared away in
one of them
study.
Selene's. Yes,
Probably. Most likely Selene's. But yeah, beyond that kind of stuff. So that's at least the ongoing theory right now, I think, that Selene's, because he says in the story, like, literally that he doesn't know where Selene is. He looked for her and couldn't find her, doesn't know what Alexander did with her, but thinks that she's probably dead. But reality, he's saying that to, like, in case Alexander finds it, so he doesn't go continue searching for her.
Yep.
So that's the theory, but that makes it a little sweeter, because without that idea, I feel like, if that's not true, I feel really bad for Selene of how much she really adores Hadrian and how she's kind of been groomed for this position to be Hadrian's wife. Of the emperor's like, yep, you're a pawn and you are going to bind Hadrian to me. And so is when Hadrian's not around, you're going in the icebox. Up Hadrian's back, out of the icebox you go. Puts her in place. And so her life has been solely dedicated to Hadrian. And despite that, she's not bitter about it. She actually does love Hadrian. And Hadrian's always pushing her away of like, no. And like,
Valka, I'm sorry.
Valka, I'm sorry.
I'm so
but
sorry,
like,
Valka.
which
is genuine.
Yes. But pushing her away, denying any kind of affection to her, and treating her with this more professionalism, and you just feel bad for Selene.
Oh yeah,
but
and
I think the better theory is like that's more for the reader's sake, and that's a lie.
That's part of the lie.
Part of the lie. Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk more of this in characters, but the emperor herself, how sad was the emperor, and seeing his last hurrah, he fought to the bitter end.
I love
Hadrian's respect for the emperor. He played the political game till the very end, and went out a hero.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you want to talk about emotional impact?
That the scene with the emperor walking down the hall was one of the most emotional scenes for me. I loved that. All right.
Here we go. Part 2 of 6. Thought-provokingness. What'd you give?
Well, I'm just looking at the time.
Yeah. What's up?
I'm looking at 48 minutes, and we just did part 1.
Yeah, no issue. Let's go. Thought-provokingness. What'd you give out of 5 stars?
5 stars.
5 stars for me, too. Floored me.
Yeah.
So, a lot to unpack. This is the juicy stuff, right? So I've got it broken down into 3 main things.
Okay.
What do you have it broken down at all? Thought about it?
Go ahead.
And there's going to be more. Number 1, am I a good man? It's repeated constantly in this. What does that mean? What is he asking there? Number 2, the quiet being quiet.
Mm-hmm.
He did his task. What now? And that kind of transitions into the free will versus fate conversation. But I didn't count that as another. Then also we have history, the mythos, and the unlearning of history as a big theme as well. And there's obviously the sub-themes, which have been, what I appreciated about this as well, is last book we get a lot of focus on the theodicy, problem of evil, fate versus free will, Valka being a clone and what makes a person, the ship of Theseus, everything we've talked about so much. This also has that stuff, but then it also leans into these other themes that have been hinted at or focused on, but just more profoundly satisfied. And the conclusion of this story being the unlearning of history and the legend making is a perfect theme to encapsulize this series. Do you want to talk about that first?
Sure.
The mythos making.
Yeah, so this goes along with from the beginning to the end. So I do love how this justifies the whole, like, a framed narrative being first chapter of book 1, the Suneater blows up the sun, the legend, the half-mortal, the Suneater. So you build up all these legends, and as the story continues, the interjections from Hadrian of what is true, what there are future legends of, things that are true about him, things that are not true about him, those building of legends are really fun to read. Even the side tangents of when he meets, please help me out with, in the last book, there's another Hadrian-like figure.
Oh.
Do you go on?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of this character. I think it started with a J, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Jay doesn't ring the bell. You could be right.
I could be right.
But yes, I think people know who we're talking about.
But this character that is legendary hero of the Empire, he was there when Hadrian was not, and but it's just a passing character. Like, that building of those characters was really fun.
Yes.
And by this point, how important Hadrian is to the wider universe and how much the Chantry however much Hadrian has done and how much he has been fighting this Yeltsin, working with the Quiet and doing his best to save humanity, that ultimately his loss was kind of just inevitable. That the Chantry, the Solon Empire, mainly the Chantry, has been fighting the war of disinformation for centuries. Ever since Hadrian became a knight Victorian, they've been poisoning the water, constantly changing public opinion, blaming him for every little failure, making up things, all this stuff that, like, by the end of it, he realizes, like, it's not like the Chantry did, like, there's nothing that can be done.
Also,
this
a
has
bit of
been
his
inevitable.
justification is that, hey, they'll eventually, I don't have to do it. Eventually, the truth will come out.
Yeah.
One day. That's some of his parting words.
Yeah, that
How much is that for show for the audience? How much is that real?
Sure. That I did like the line of the Chantry has gone its entire existence operating within the shadows. And this is the first time that they will no longer be able to do that. They will have to operate within the light. They will be inexperienced with that, and they will fail at this. It is different. And so they will, the idea that truth is, sunlight is the best disinfectant to bring, Now, how much is that true? How much is that wishful thinking? Because maybe that's true eventually, but with the centuries, with misinformation around Hadrian, who knows?
One passage I'll read here from Hadrian, he says this. Reader, if you only knew how many of the things which you believe are false, you would despair of all knowledge. The greater part of my education has consisted not of learning, but of unlearning those things which I had named inviolable, which others had called fixed, changeless, and absolute. Much of what the very wise have called science has proved mere speculation. Much of what men called truth, only hope. And history, lies and distortation. Assertion after assertion, piled on assertion, louder still. But the truth exists, however buried, however lost and disregarded, however spurned. And so he was saying that the soliloquy there, or monologue, whatever the correct word is, he was saying that there after Gadadin was destroyed by the Cielsen, because there's some lies out there in the mythos that when he blew up the sun, he also destroyed Gadadin, but Gadadin was already gone. Yeah. However, how the story spreads of what the Suneater, of what the devil did, is he destroyed the sun and also Gadadin with it.
Same thing with the fleet. For the most part, he does save, I believe, a majority of the fleet. He tells...
Except Lorien makes it out on his own. He rides the wave. How cool is that going to look? And okay.
Yeah. But no, he tells Bassander Lin, he tells... but the fact that he blew up the sun to take out the Emperor to take his seat, but he wipes out the fleet. Ultimately, yeah, some of the fleet does get caught up in the sun's explosion.
Also, some have to say, because if it looks like a retreat, then the Cielsen are going to go, what's going on here? We have to...
But in addition, the Cielsen already took down most of the fleet before the sun ever exploded.
And a large planet, too.
So the Cielsen already destroyed Gadadin, wiped out most of the fleet as it is. And then Hadrian tells basically his buddies and a good chunk of the fleet to escape. They're able to escape, and the Emperor knows what's happening, decides to stay behind to basically hold the Cielsen's attention to make sure that they don't leave, and falls on the sword to allow and lets the sun consume them. So even our interpretation of what happened with the future Hadrian moments in the rest of these books was more revealed in this one of what the actual truth was, assuming that this is true.
Yes, and that it is such a true thing and such a series-wide fantastic message where, for example, Christopher Rocchio will say outside this book, an example he'll bring up is the Emperor Caligula, who has a very bad reputation, and it's the evil Emperor Caligula. And there's some you'll see out there in some of the historical record, and some will say, was it Caligula was an awful person, or did his enemies write his history? Was the Senate not fond of him? And is that why you hear of this horrible Emperor Caligula? Now, that's the speculation. Look into history of how much of it is true and not true. And that's why even in the real world, take away science fiction, which is why messages and stories are so important, translate that through a world. And think about the history we do know, and then what do you have to unlearn to actually understand history? Because there is so much of that, and that's just one small example of we can be so certain about a fact that turns out to be that there's always three sides to a story. The one side, the other side, then the right side. There's always, the truth is always somewhere in between, and it's so much more interesting. And the history that you and I do know, the most real, and this is kind of why I like contemporary accounts of why when we read a book, I think it's much more helpful. We're reading this book that came out in 2025 right now and reviewing it. And if you and I were to come together, we reviewed Monte Cristo. We have a much less historical and context and understanding of Monte Cristo in the audience it was for, because it came out hundreds of years ago, 150 whatever years ago.
For the French in magazines, where their history, the inside historical references, all the people that were reading it would understand. Where us not being of the time, it's far removed. We don't understand the specific French literary references. We also don't fully appreciate the historical references.
We could study it and learn more.
We could study and learn more, but it's definitely a barrier. It's an obstacle.
Also, how much can studying? There's always there's that. It's that unlearning and and get what Rocchio does in Disquiet Gods that makes the story makes you experience the message itself. Because in Disquiet Gods, it was, let me show you the journey before destination. Let me show you the fact that this will that you feel, and even though the entropy and the end exists, why do you want to read on? It's begging that question. And then in this case, with the mythos and the unlearning of legends, we, the reader, are being lied to. We are being revealed to things that are now now existing. We're finding out new information about the Chantry, but also about Hadrian. How much is Hadrian's tale to us?
This is the opposite of Name of the Wind. The Name of the Wind takes the idea of, hey, Quoth the king killer, the legend. And then the story subsequently tells us, like, hey, and Quoth tells the audience that.
Can you say all that?
Can I say all that?
Nick, if you don't mind bleeping a lot of that, do you want to say that without spoiling the story? Yeah.
I will say that without spoiling the story. Basically takes the legend of Quoth and makes it far more mundane.
Okay.
That the legends are exaggerated.
Yeah.
And this does the opposite of, hey, you know, like the legend of Hadrian Marlowe and all of the history being told to you of like how evil he was, how actual cynical and small the man was. He's just a man vying for power and with tricks and, you know,
he doesn't actually have the quiet powers. It's just he's an extra Stellarian. He's using
But actually, he's even greater than the legends, the faulty legends say about him. So it's elevating it. I like that.
It's lovely, and I got to read the end passage here. I mean, this is the just beautifully said and encapsulates the message as well. Extremely well. And I love a good parallel structure that we get here. Okay, here we go. There are endings, reader, and this is one. The end, the place where we began our journey, you and I, with Hadrian Marlowe, hanged for all the worlds to see. For that is the story you were told. The story you have been told all the days of your life. But it was not the end. There are no endings, reader, not in truth. One story fades, another begins, or else crashes one into the next with a noise like thunder. As days and night are themselves illusions of perspective caused by the turning of worlds, so too are beginnings and endings little more than a trick of ink and paper, of which I have used perhaps too much. I shall speak no word of where I went thereafter, of where I returned from beyond the darkness that awaits, or when, or how. It does not matter, not to you. With this record, these pages, I leave now the last measure of myself, my full account, my part of the greater story, the greatest, his. I will write no further, reader, and pray you understand. I shall go on alone. Oh, what a perfect, like, tattoo that on the Empire State Building, okay? What a perfect way to end the series, and also encapsulates into that next message we can talk about. But on the first hand, it's saying, it's talking about you. I love how immersive it is, where Hadrian's talking to the in-universe reader in here of, hey, this is the legend you were told in this soul in this galaxy. However, speaking to me, and saying, hey, this is what you might have been told. I will tell you no further. This is where my story ends for now. But remember, there are no endings. It's just another story.
Yeah. And that this is, no matter how epic, and like, this isn't the end of the story. It's just an ending for Hadrian, the most significant part of his moment in the story.
And he's talking about it's part of a greater story, which is his, referring to the quiet God. Yeah. Right. And so, what do you think about that when it comes to now the greater part of this story, where Hadrian's grappling a lot of the time, basically asking, where did the absolute go?
Yeah.
Where? Well, why is the quiet now all of a sudden quiet? Why was he screaming? Or why was the quiet screaming from the start, and it had such a drive and something to do, but now all of a sudden it's just left to the dust? Why? And we get those. The phrase starts to come back throughout Hadrian. He's sensing not sensing, but it's starting to, signs are coming to him where the phrase where were you? Where were you when? where were you when? And going back to that quote in chapter 40 of where were you when I laid the foundations of earth, which comes from the book of Job for those that don't know, but where were you when I laid the foundations of earth, which is basically saying you don't know anything. You don't know what the plan is. Just shut up. Right?
That you ask it, am I a good man? Which is like, shut up. Listen to me. Just let
it happen.
Plan trusters. You got trust the plan.
Yeah.
Planikins.
And that is what it's ultimately saying there in the end too, of, hey, your story is part of a greater story. It's one of many stories. This is Hadrian Marlowe's, and there's probably more to come, especially we have Cassandra and Edouard are going to possibly meet up with his sister Sabine.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen there? Did I get the sister's name right? I haven't read that novella quite yet, so I don't have her name exactly now. But yes, that is, and also what a message. So unlearning history, but also your story and whatever. There's a greater story happening here.
It's also it's the humbling message.
It is, yeah.
No matter how legendary Hadrian Marlowe's story is, he accredits it of like this is a small part in the greater story of God, the higher power. And so even Hadrian Marlowe can be humbled a little bit.
You have all these different characters too, whether it's Aloran talking about his God or Edward the Museum Catholic talking about his God, them asking, is this the same God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are they talking to the same person? Whose God is it? A lot of those questions as well. And we struggled a lot with, or were faced with the question in the previous book about the question of why does evil exist? Why does suffering exist? Why go through all of this? Can't the quiet just boom disappear? Watcher's gone.
Yep.
Goodbye. Story over. And do you think that was more disquiet gods in this book, as far as focus goes? But you see anything else what kind of messages, what kind of themes did you get and want to talk about?
Yeah, this being more of a swan song of it, Hadrian even messages. Talks about how the quiet views all life, its creation, and that so it wouldn't want to wipe out the Cielsen themselves like purely. That's not really its design. It's same thing with humanity, and nothing will destroy the quiet. It's all about this is a moment, and it's giving. I do like that. When people ask like, oh, why won't the quiet help? And then basically the end message is like, the quiet is helping. It sent Hadrian. Hadrian is the help. And so Hadrian asks like, where's the quiet? What's the quiet doing? You, it's yours. Like you are the help. Do it yourself. It to some degree, it's kind of empowering. It's the idea that like, us, mankind, are the servants of like when you ask like what higher power is doing for us, like we are their instruments. So Hadrian is. I think that's pretty beautiful sentiment. But why does the quiet let things go on? It's because values the free will of others. Like ultimately, we're left at the end of this series of the reason why the Solar Empire is dying, the reason why humans are in the state they are, is not necessarily because of the Cielsen. It's not necessarily because of the quiet. It's because of themselves. Like humans left at this declining state, or the Empire left in its slow decline, has nothing to do with the quiet. Has nothing to do with the Watchers or the Cielsen. It's themselves. Same thing with the Extrasolarians and all the little fighting that goes on. Like, that's between them. The quiet sent Hadrian because, like, the Watchers were fucking around and it's like, hey, this is extinction level event. Let's try and help out on that. But the rest, you guys are doing that to each other. So, beautiful.
Beautiful.
But
and
sad.
There's in Demon in White, book 3, I remember there was a conversation with Gibson about Hadrian asking the question, or somebody asking the question, am I a good man?
Hadrian asks it.
Hadrian asks it. And then Gibson, sorry. I'll have to drink water a second. Then Hadrian answers in response, or sorry, Gibson answers in response. The fact that you're asking that question is enough. The fact that you're asking, "Am I a good man?" means that you're at least humble enough not to have, I guess, the pride of thinking you are the correct decision maker, and that the person that doubts has a conscience. The person that doubts at least has an awareness of their ethics of what they're doing in the world can cause good or cause evil. And so how do you think this book extrapolates from that? What does this book say about am I a good man?
Well, that answer that Gibson gives is it's a good answer from the Scholiast
Frame of
atheist
work.
Like, if man is the top of the hierarchy, then Gibson's point of view makes the most sense of taking the most ego out, but it still is putting you at the top of the pyramid. And in this book, with the quiet giving Hadrian the quote from the book of Job, it's like going,
"Where were you when I laid the foundations of earth?
You don't know the plan. It is not your decision. I'm taking that burden off of you. Like, your decisions are yours, and when it occurs to you, yes, like you can talk about it. But when something like I have taken a certain burden from him. Like Hadrian going like, am I a good man? The decision's not his. He was shown it. He was shown by the quiet of like, no, you must blow up the sun and wipe out most of the Cielcen. It is what I am commanding you to do. And shows him all the different inevitabilities and the paths. The future is kind of, it takes it away. It's that is not Hadrian's decision alone. It's like he didn't come up with that plan. It's not his. So again, from the quiet, it's like, shut up. It's my plan, not yours.
And the guilt he feels as well on top of that with his relationships of being with Selene and not Valka. And you see Hadrian is constantly having this question and this doubt and this, not self-deprecation, but just self-questioning of, is what he's doing the right path? And then where that comes to head a lot as well is he's asking that question, am I a good man? But after his task is complete and after, okay, he blew up the sun, now living the rest of his life, how do you now ask that question? Because there is no task of, hey, this is what you have to do. This is the blow up the sun. Now it's, how does he protect his daughter? What's the right decision? Am I a good father? Yeah. Am I a good man? Now what? Now the future is a lot more misty.
And the burden is a little bit more on him. And he doesn't have the quiet's prophecy to lean on. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, the future is far more up to him at those moments. So, Edward even makes that mention of, it seems like these visions were a blessing in some way to take some of that responsibility off of you.
Now it's back.
It's a burden again.
He makes a mistake immediately.
But yeah, free will is a burden. Mm-hmm. In many ways, Hadrian's free will was. Now that's an interesting thing. Do you think with the prophecies, with the visions of the future, was Hadrian's free will taken away at all in this book?
His free
will and choice, because all roads led to Gadara blows up.
Well, it's talked about in this book where there are scenes where the visions didn't have certain people in the same room as him, and so the end happens. The entropy will always happen. The suns will always go away. We know that, hey, we're taking in this real world. We're here on Earth. Our sun in our solar system will not be here forever. We know there's an inevitability to it. But even though he saw those visions and knew that end is fated, it was the journey that was more of his will, of him. I believe it was Olorin, his involvement with Olorin.
Not seeing brother die.
Yeah, not seeing Orphan. But that does happen afterwards.
Sorry. I didn't meant seeing Orphan die.
Yes, not seeing Orphan die. All of this was not necessarily in the vision.
Or even the words he says, that he starts saying the words from the vision automatically and then pauses and then changes it. Changes what he says.
And that's intentional to show like, hey, even though that is the vision. You don't have to take the exact steps.
More, I think it makes the prophecy and the visions that the quiet shows less of like the inevitable future and more of like, hey, I am showing you like the best option part of my plan. Like, hey, if you want humans to like the only plausible path for humans to actually not be extinct is this. Here you go. The choice is up to you. You could try all these different plans, which Hadrian tries. He tries all these different plans. They all fail.
Goes to Danu,
tries to wipe him out there. Doesn't work. All of these different things, they are all choices that he could make. The quiet only shows him, hey, this is the path I would prefer. Here's my plan. Please follow this plan, because every other plan leads in failure. So that's the future is shown, which doesn't make it inevitable. It doesn't make it fate. It makes it, hey, here's the best option moving forward, and Hadrian chooses.
Oh, so he had a choice in Disquiet Gods. Crack the egg or not. Destroy the egg or not. Here's some of the portions from the book that discusses fate and free will. So here's some of it. So this is, I don't have the exact context, so let me catch up to this. Okay, got it. So here we go. The prince stood as well, nudged a larger chunk of masonry with his toe. It moved. So, okay, here's what it is. Sorry, I got the context of the scene now. Do you remember toward the beginning where Hadrian is bringing Lauren to Annika? And he's showing him on Annika how time... It's reversed. It's not cause and effect. It's effect before cause. And that's he shows the example of they can predict earthquakes or tremors because the stones actually come together rather than separating apart in the cave. And the cave that he went to on Annika wasn't there in the first place because it got covered up. He could have never find it again. Basically, on Annika, that's what happens is its effect precedes cause. And so Aloran's looking at this and he's saying, the prince stood as well, nudged a layer chunk of masonry with his toe. It moved. So it is fate. He looked at me, and I could sense his intensity through his mask, through the lamplit void between us. Have we no freedom to choose? You chose, I said. It is only that what you chose is impossible. Failure does not preclude free will. So talking about that stone just coming together, and they're discussing this of if it's inevitable, if Lauren can't pick up this stone or can't, basically what Lauren's saying in this scene is, hey, its effect is preceding cause. There's literally he's unable to pick up the stones because that is meant to go together because the effect precedes cause in this situation. And then Hadrian makes the point that failure does not preclude free will. It's just that what he chose was impossible. So in the same way, you could use an example of saying, hey, even though I don't have the free will to fly with wings, doesn't mean I'm not free to do so, is the argument being made by Hadrian here. Because there are limits, restrictions, and failures and things that you're not allowed to do. Limits do not preclude free will.
Yeah. I do have the scene here when Hadrian is about to say, fire at will and
please
the things that he has seen in this vision. Do what must be done. Those were the words I was meant to say. I opened my mouth to speak them, but hesitated. In the vision, the other Hadrian had turned his gaze to the right, to look at the place where I'd stood, watching him. I could not stop myself, and turned as he had turned, half expecting to see my younger self standing there in dinted plate, in the shadow of the pillar at the base of the stair. But there was no one, no other Hadrian there, unseen by all but me. Still, I felt his presence. It was his memory that made me turn, present or no. I smiled, recalled that I had smiled in my vision too. Do what must be done. I had only to say the words. Could I not say them? Was I free? Orphan, I said, and stood, breaking the vision in my hands. Prepare to fire astrophage. Would you have him be a tyrant? Ragaman's voice, so warm and melancholy, sounded in my ear. Deny you the freedom to choose? I was free, had been free all my life. Gibson was right, had been right. How had I doubted it? Doubted him. Only the past is written.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And in that, what chapter is that? Do you know?
I
should say it right up there. Yeah.
Chapter 82.
I'm on chapter 82 as well, and this is at a different part of it, where he's asking this: "Are we ready?" The moment the words escape my lips. That part, is that right after or before that?
Yep,
that's literally right after.
It's right after.
Yeah, I'll continue because this is an important part that we were just talking about. Are we ready? The moment the words escaped my lips, I realized that I had heard them before. The exact words, the precise intonation. I leaned forward into the light, realized as I did so that too I had foreseen. Orphan had turned our ship to face the sun so that its shining face could be seen straight ahead, a distant jewel made dark by daemons in the window glass, dark enough to see. The quiet had shown me this moment eons ago, reflected in the black stone of the mountain atop Annika, the highest place. I froze for a moment. In that moment, the revelation, recognition, understanding, a shock. Had it all been fate after all his providence, his plan from the start? Had I no choice in the matter, no freedom to choose? 10 million times I'd fail in 10 million universes that never were. Was my being there not brute force? Not the wearing down of the mountain of my inequity by progressive failure? Life after life, reading after reading? And yet, it was not the moment of my vision. Not entirely. I had never seen Orphan there, nor Aloran, nor Nicephorus for Selene. Some things were different. Some things I'd changed. And that's the big thing there, of him asking that question of had it all been fate after all, but not quite. Some things Hadrian had changed. And that is the important, that's the important and it's context here for the theme of free will.
How much had he changed, and does that make... Now, the question I imagine someone may be asked in the comments is, okay, so Hadrian changed the little things, but ultimately the quiet forced the big stuff, and by brute force. I think this is more evidence of that not being the case, of showing the plausible future and showing a prophecy, or, hey, here's a possible future. Here's the future I would like to see the most. There's the only option of success is through this method. And so the brute force is allowing Hadrian to try again and try again until eventually Hadrian gets it right and chooses what the quiet wants. But ultimately still is Hadrian's choice. Hadrian has been shown the path, but it is his choice to walk it.
And that goes back to that conversation about the stones on Annika as well. Of, again, just because there's an inevitability, something that you cannot change, even if there's an inevitable future, does not mean you can't play a part in some sort of free choice before that inevitability. So because Aloran can't move the stones, because maybe Hadrian, let's say it is completely fated, this has to be the ending after he chose and disquiet gods, even if that might be the case, is it my choice? Sorry for using this example, it's used in the book series, but is it my choice to not have the sun go away? No, it's just a factual, objective truth that will happen. Now, how will you act in your own way with knowing these objective facts? That is what it's saying. And so there's one more here. I want to try to get the context. Okay, this is another interesting thing as well. That Sentinel scene when the Sentinel kills Nicephorus, just showing you how very small, minute things in history can change the world forever. It says here, the fate of the empire, of the galaxy, the doom of princes rested then on the shoulders of that unnamed Sentinel, the man from nowhere, that man who had pulled the trigger. Though none there save Selene and myself, and perhaps Nema, understood it. The Solon Empire had fallen. So it's this entire historical epic, this theme about history of showing how unlearning history, but also the small forces in history can change the world forever. And the Solon Empire is being doomed, this bittersweet tale, and this,
how much that this has been leading up to the sun literally exploding. And that this being the death of the empire and the death of all humanity. And ultimately, Hadrian saves the empire from the Cielsen. And
the empire can't save itself.
Empire can't save itself. One lone one lone
Sentinel.
soldier, one lone sentinel destroys the empire like that.
Yep.
The slow death of generations.
Hey, everybody, we're doing a clip and recording this after having finished our review because we thought of another thing that was just so integral and thematically important to Suneater and to Book 7, Shadows Upon Time. We have to address this. This was also a big theme portion. Right. So
basically, the fact that Hadrian Marlowe is the antithesis to
Paul
Paul
Atreides. Yeah.
And this, with Paul Atreides, the whole function of Dune and a big point of it is the suspicion of these great figures, and that anyone, basically, power corrupts absolutely, and that anyone in high positions of power and power collected in an individual is going to be corrupt, evil, bad. This is the opposite of both Hadrian Marlowe and the Emperor. They're not perfect, but when we get in this story, the development of the Emperor, the supreme being, the God Emperor, he is the most amount of power in this galaxy, and ultimately, he's a man trying to do good, and genuinely is, and to some degree, he is doing it. He has noble ambitions, he noble aims and acts. He does a lot of good things for the people, and he's an admirable figure. Same thing with Hadrian. He collects this power, but ultimately he is focused toward helping other people and helping humanity.
Yeah, that is something. So I know we talked about this throughout the review a little bit, but we wanted to dial in specifically to that point of, in many ways, Suneater is Rockio and is an admirer of Dune, but this is somewhat of a response to Dune in the way that does leadership have to mean that power is going to corrupt you? Does it have to mean that evil is inevitable? Or can there be a good man in a position of power? Can there be someone noble to look up to?
Well,
and a lot of this...
with also history being moved, not by the masses, not by the whims of groups, but history is moved by great figures of history. And that is... the world is moved by Hadrian Marlowe. Hadrian Marlowe defines the age, and with his will, his fist, he moves humanity forward. Same thing with the Emperor, that the Empire is the Emperor. The Emperor stands for it. He pushes things forward, rather than this more amalgamous feature.
Just as much as an evil king or evil emperor could move history,
Yeah.
so do the good in history. And so it's a lot of what you see in fantasy and sci-fi specifically is you see that evil take down the empire. And in this case, hey, we have the Chantry. You have these evil forces at will that are trying to obtain power. We see Alexander is a great example of that's the character you see in so many series where, hey, let's take down the system, take down the hierarchy, get rid of chop the head off at the top. In this case, it was the head was supported by snakes. And so it is the case where there are your evil actors here, but there are your good and noble and the people trying. And with Hadrian asking himself constantly, am I a good man? That's also emblematic of him, even though as he has this power to literally resurrect himself and has power beyond any person in this universe. Well, person, I said, not the quiet and the watchers, but even with all of this power, that doesn't mean that you can't have a soul.
Yeah,
that's a lot of it. And so that's just an important thing to talk about with the series, of it's addressing that as well. And that's what we find very thought-provoking of that, especially being a response to Dune in that way. Dune is incredibly thought-provoking in its own way, and this just as much.
Well, Dune and something like Red Rising, where the point is the system, and that anyone who is at the top of that system is going to eventually be evil. Like the focus is on taking down the system, whatever establishment it is. In Suneater, it is not that case. Like, by the end, yes, all the systems are basically destroyed. Like, the Empire has fallen, it has crumbled, the Chantry has been knocked down a peg and eventually will collapse. Like, all these things, like these systems have fallen, but that was never Hadrian's point. Hadrian never went out of his way to like, oh, we need to take down the system. It's no, there are individuals, like there are corrupt, evil people. We need to take them down. But the system headed by someone like the emperor, good. The empire headed by Alexander, not so good. Or headed by the chantry, not so good. So it was far more focused on the individuals rather than the systems.
And I love that it has that point to make as much as, hey, the emperor, a king, anything moves history. Hadrian moves history. He's the most important figure in this universe. Well, so does that random sentinel that kills that kills Orphan, right?
Not Orphan.
Sorry.
I think it's Nicephorus.
Nicephorus, yes. Sorry,
Yes.
that kills Nicephorus. It literally destroys a soul emperor through that. So the smallest person in history can both change things forever, and so can the largest. Because in the real world, this example is always used, but Archduke Franz Ferdinand, getting killed by that. I don't even know. I used to know their name. I used to have that trivia. The assassins don't need to be remembered, right? So whatever that person's name was that killed Franz Duke Ferdinand, that person changed world history forever, just as much as Churchill and Hitler did.
Yep.
So this is all important stuff. And man, Suneater, it's a different
so
focus. Much to think about. Yeah.
Rather than thinking about history as
which, by the way, different wars, by the way,
moves of the people of like just groups, like groups change culture, history, and all these things. And once the people rise up, and instead it's sure the people can rise up, but often those people rise up. And at the front of the line is an individual. Like it is individuals that generally will move history forward. It is not groups.
So very interesting stuff. We'll get. So this was our little snippet we wanted to put in here. We were thinking about after doing the review. But here we'll continue now going on to characters. So you'll see us now back in real time. All right. See. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful book. Do you want to go on to characters?
I think we have to.
I gave it 4.75 stars, nearly floored me.
You're reading off my book, 4.75.
Did you really?
I did, yeah.
That's kind of funny. Did you actually?
I did. I do want to give this in context of in Disquiet Gods, I gave characters a 4.5.
I'll give context. I gave it a 4.5 in Disquiet Gods as well. So, yes, this one it's higher than Disquiet Gods for me.
Yes, exactly.
But do you want? Okay, we've been gushing so much. Do you want to say why it's not the 0.25 for me personally? Is Cassandra? And I'll dive in deeper to that. Cassandra, there's nothing that I don't like or dislike about her character. It is that I care about Cassandra because Hadrian cares about Cassandra, but as a character, her being an integral one as well. It's just her character just seems like the daughter. She's the daughter of Hadrian, and I didn't get enough to be like, okay, this is who she is. Like I get it. She's the sword fighter, cool, and
she's the sword fighter that loves her dad.
Yeah, and that was
that's all we really get from her. Nothing more of her personality. Like I think Valka, as far as characters that you know a little bit more about and you feel that connection with, I think Valka had more of a personality.
Had more time with her too, but yes,
we had more time with her. But even like
Cassandra had 2 books now.
Even from book 1, book 1, learning who Valka is, like she had this personality that was more unique and on her own. Is
that the same reason for you? Like, why did you give it the 4? Okay, yeah.
Cassandra should be a little bit. I should care about her a little bit more on her own than I do. I think
I do care about her because of Hadrian, though, right?
Exactly.
That connection. Just when you ask who is Cassandra, a daughter of Hadrian who cares for her father. You could list out some stuff, but does she feel completely realized? Just it works, but nothing.
Now I'm going to speak for you because I know why is it not 4.5 as last time? Why is it 4. Why did we add 0.25 on?
You're going to speak for me.
I'm going to speak for you because I know
for me.
I know your mind.
Okay.
No, there's one character. There's one character of marketable improvement, of side character that kind of blew us away that we had to get marketable improvement.
You're correct, but there's additional one. But yes, say the first one.
It's the Emperor.
Oh. Almost.
Yes.
Well, yes, but you know who improved?
And also, I got the other one.
Yep.
Alexander.
Yes, there you go. Yes. Ding, ding, ding. For me, it was Alexander and Emperor. Those 2 characters remarkable. And we also got a lot of other side characters with Lorien. We got more from Aloran. We got more from everybody. Lovely.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we just had the time to sit with them.
That
with
was lovely.
I really appreciate it. That is a certain cost to the structure of the Suneater series. Is with these time skips and jumps, it's hard to keep that consistent cast of characters.
Yes.
And really care about them with the large amount of paid, like a large time that we're away from them. It's hard to really get to know them and care about them in the same way.
Definitely.
But this book, we had plenty of time with them.
Do you want to start with the Emperor Alexander or
Let's start with Alexander.
Oh my God, lovely.
So Alexander from the beginning of Demon in White. Little bratty kid that you kind of
Wait, right before Alexander, can we take a quick break to have quick food and come back real quick? Like a 2-minute break.
We can.
Okay. All right, we're back. We just want to do the little halfway mark. I needed a quick snack. You know, I get headaches when I don't eat and when I talk to Rich for a long time. So, all right.
Yeah.
I was asking you about...
Double whammy.
I was asking you about Alexander.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on Alexander's character?
Yep. So when we're starting off with Alexander in good old Demon in White, he's mostly the bratty prince. You see this potential. You get information in that book of like, okay, Alexander will become the emperor one day and will become Hadrian's enemy. So Hadrian's trying to raise this prince in the right way, but doesn't do his best. He does sideline him. He says out in the open to Volca that, he's really annoying, and it shatters our frail prince's ego.
You said I'm annoying.
You said I was annoying. You annoyed me.
Daddy.
Anyway, so now Alexander's peeved and starts being rebellious, and then became fearful, seeing that Hadrian according to their own myth and legend, Hadrian is the God Emperor reborn. He is Earth's chosen.
Yes.
Like, he has all the power. Like,
full stop.
That's what he is. Like, according to your own legend, he should be, like, he is a threat to the throne. And so Hadrian Alexander treats him that way. Tries to snub him, tries to kill him, tries to, weasel.
He's also a
his way
pawn of
around.
the Chantry. Because the Chantry know they can control Alexander.
Yep. And we find that out more in Shadows Upon Time. That Chantry has just kind of wormed their way into it. Now, how much is the Chantry just because the Chantry doesn't like Hadrian, and because also Alexander doesn't like Hadrian, just kind of worked really well. But the Chantry basically does control him. In this book, we see him far more of a pathetic character of how much, like, there's, rather than just like, oh, this enemy with Hadrian, of like, don't you realize how much good Hadrian is doing? Of like, poor boy, like, you're focusing on the wrong things. In this case, literally the end of human existence is on the table, and he's still focusing on trying to knock Hadrian down.
He can't get over this gripe.
He can't get over it even when his empire is on the line.
And his own father choosing Hadrian over him, how much does that have to sting?
Yeah.
Oh, because at first Hadrian becomes Octor.
Yep.
And then becomes emperor later in the book.
But he kills millions of his own people to make Hadrian look bad. And then by the end, the most damnable moment is Hadrian realizing that Alexander and the Chantry's plan is it would be better for the Cielcen to win at this battle than let Hadrian have the victory. They'd rather Hadrian lose than the Cielcen win. Just because, like, that's like, oh, you go to hell. Almost completely irredeemable type of character. And thinking that, like, it'd be better for the human race to go into the underground and to creep along and barely survive the Cielcen. And ultimately, maybe the Chantry and the Palatine class will survive, but the rest of the human species will be wiped out. Yeah. In fact, Alexander can't let that go. Makes him incredibly despicable. I loved to hate him in this book.
He had so much more agency this book too to make him a dominant character. Where no, he didn't dominate over Hadrian, but it made every scene with him and the politicking with him seem like such an obstacle for Hadrian. Whereas before, it never seemed like an obstacle.
The
Now
whiny
he was
child, you
certainly-
kind of backhand out of the way. He's an actual threat, and he's a snake.
And so much time has passed where Alexander's now more of a man than he was before. He's grown. And Hadrian and Alexander having the past they did, where Hadrian failed Alexander as a student, and now having his student want to stick it to the man. That was also a very interesting dynamic of Hadrian having so much respect for his scholastics, Gibson, master's the wrong word, his
father
scholar,
figure.
his father figure, his teacher, respected Gibson so much, but Hadrian failed at the thing he respected so much. And Alexander is his failure. And Alexander is his big obstacle in this. So in a way, Hadrian's partly at fault for all of these obstacles happening just because he failed Alexander as a kid. Now, obviously, the agency's on Alexander, but to have Hadrian constantly confronted with this failure in front of him as he's facing the end of the world adds so much tension, adds to Alexander's character of just despite he has. Awesome. It makes all those scenes shine so much brighter. And yeah.
Think about it this way. We're talking about free will with Hadrian and all this stuff with it. What would the end of the story look like if Hadrian was a better teacher to Alexander and didn't fail Alexander? If their relationship was better, would Hadrian have had to die at the end? Would Hadrian have to fight against the Chantry? Would the Solon Empire be in a state of decline?
Well, the Chantry might pick a different.
They might pick a different one.
Somebody else.
But with Alexander being at the helm, it could have maybe Hadrian wouldn't have needed to be emperor, and it would have
played differently.
If Alexander is chosen to still be the emperor, yeah, maybe the Chantry doesn't control Alexander in the same way, but Hadrian could help and still reveal the secrets of behind the Chantry and take the fall, but things could have been different for the empire, for Hadrian himself, if he didn't fail Alexander. Now, how much of that is Hadrian's failure and how much of that is Alexander is just an insecure boy, an insecure brat.
But Hadrian did talk behind his back a little bit. There was enough to... Sure, that's on Alexander, but still, you're right to say how much different could the Solon Empire have looked afterwards, because the Quiet didn't really have an interest in the Solon Empire. The Quiet had an interest in humanity.
Yep.
So
the only thing the Quiet was pushing and showing Hadrian of hey, look, the only way for humans to survive is you must blow up the sun at this time. Get there. Everything else is up in the air. So the failure of the Solon Empire is far more dependent on Hadrian and the Empire and the Chantry themselves.
Since Rocchio loves his chess analogies, I'm going to start using some more chess analogies here. Okay. But
the horse.
The horsey in the castle.
Yeah.
God, that's still it irks me. But I'll make sure, because in this case where Alexander, it was a significant player. In this case, maybe he was more of a bishop or a knight in this game. Maybe in a different fate, he could have just been, he's literally a pawn of the Chantry, but you get what I mean. If the point value for pieces, Alexander played a bigger role than maybe in a different story.
Well, if he was a friend to Hadrian, and Hadrian could have been as close to Hadrian, if Hadrian could have been as close to Alexander as he was to the emperor, things could have been very different.
But man, did he need the emperor on his side.
Oof.
Yeah, the emperor, what a character journey.
Oh, God. Don't you just love, I do know that Christopher was the reason why he made the emperor a fairly good, a good man, a good character, rather than hey, the emperor of the galaxy normally in every other story is just evil, like because they're the monarch in
Palpatine,
power.
yes.
Like monarch in power, in charge, is just always evil and bad. And this was like, let's do something else. Like, he's not perfect. He's not altogether good. But it's clearly a man who does have the best interest in all. Like, he does care. He does his best for his people, at humanity at large, and the empire.
What did you think about
everything
him
he
humbling
can.
himself to an apology to Hadrian? Because I know you didn't love the Ashes of Man scene, right, with the slap, but what did you think about him apologizing, saying he's never felt what he felt, so he literally didn't have he couldn't contextualize that, how much that meant to Hadrian?
It did help. It did help a lot. I was more upset at that moment of not that the emperor couldn't personally like empathize. That I understand that part, and I felt that same way. But the fact that the emperor couldn't, like, I'm looking more as like a tactical. Like, the emperor is, I believe, like what, 2,000 something years old or 3. Like he's getting on in years. I
think he lived almost 1,000 in physical, but there was longer that he was in cryo sleep. Yeah.
But old, ancient, wise. He's clearly one of the best politicians. He's able to, maneuver around the chantry and block them from taking control. Mm-hmm. Like, the emperor is clearly a political master. And the fact that, and a part of being this political master is understanding people. And the fact that he doesn't, like, he needs to know Hadrian. And the fact that he's like, oh yeah, she was just Tavrosiv, like, idiot. That's real dumb.
What did you think about this apology? And
I think it was good. I think it was a good course correction. I think it was still a damnable miscalculation that I felt still was wrong in that moment. But I liked his apology scene here of, hey, I just didn't see it that way. I saw you far more like me. I have not experienced this emotion.
We see the emperor in several moments where at first Hadrian has to come to the empire after convincing Lauren to bring him there and says, hey, he has 3 things. I have 3 things for you, emperor. I have the sun. I have this way to destroy the Cialison. I have the Suneater. Secondly, I want to reveal to you that the chantry have AI this entire time. And third, chantry, reveal AI. Second was I have the Suneater. Third is, I had the location of all of the Cialison.
Yeah.
Because of I have a way to know where every single person is. So that's why I want a meeting with the emperor. And they allow it because he also could threaten them with annihilation with his weapons on the Demiurge, and gets to meet the emperor. And that's when we're introduced to how sick he is. Sick as in literally has the Minos virus and is dying. And they put him in this not vestibule, this he's got tubes, and he's literally comatose in a sense, barely clinging on to life, and has to be woken up in order to talk to Hadrian. And that walking scene you mentioned earlier, what made that scene so special?
Oh God. So
this is later on, yeah.
Later on, the final year of, we know that the sun will blow up within the year. The final battle is coming, and the emperor is put into this suit so he can actually still walk, these servos that are able to control his limbs. And as the emperor leads Hadrian into the secret empire, like cache of weapons, but also the genetic sequence database that basically gives all the genome codes for the entire Palatine class to be able to allow them to even have children. That this great control over the empire's most influential families. The emperor, through all this pain and suffering that he's going to, knowing he's on his final march toward life, and that he's not given up, and he's looks strong for his people. His mind is going, his body is failing, and yet he still stands, he still walks, and iron will. The iron will of the man to see this war done and to lead his people into a place of peace. and he wants to see his empire safe. Beautiful. It's just how it was written too.
And he's extremely smart tactically as well of how he plays against the Chantry and knows their games. And you learn so much. In retrospect, I gained so much more admiration for his character as well, because knowing how he's fought against the Chantry his entire life, of how he set up Hapsis and he set up his own, even the chamber where he's kept it isn't connected to the outside, so they can't screw with his life preserving technology. He's gone through every measure to try to keep the Chantry away from influencing him and keeping this Hapsis and keeping the different guards with him as well, in order to stop them. And still, and now, yeah.
There's also a line in there that he has about that. It on the surface could sound very egotistical, but I think it more about his responsibility and how he takes it very seriously is that the Empress is like, I am the Empire. Like I am the last son of Earth. The Empire is me. The people look to me as their ruler. They look to me as, their God Emperor. I need to and because of that, the buck stops with me. They believe me to be the ruler, and therefore I need to be the ruler, not the puppet. The Chantry does not get to control me, because they deserve the person they believe to be in charge to actually be in charge. That's what the people deserve, because that's what they believe. I see
admirable.
It's admirable. It is an admirable thing of realizing that the people believe me to be in power, therefore I should be. Therefore I need to actually have the responsibility of this power. I cannot give this burden away.
You say to the people democracy is cringe. Ought the people then think they are cringe?
Yes.
Out of respect, the people should say, man, I am such a cringe.
Yes. Honestly, this is a fundamental problem with democracy. If democracy is true, if democracy is valid,
yeah,
and you look at your political system and you go, man, this sucks. I don't like most of what the government does. Okay, well, then who's to blame?
What if we just random lottery?
If the people are in charge, then the people are the problem. Now, do you not blame the people? It's not the people's fault. Then the people aren't in charge. And this isn't a democracy. You get to pick one or the other. Either the people are in charge and are ultimately responsible. It's their fault the system sucks. Or the people aren't in charge, and this isn't a democracy. It's something else. Take your pick.
Emperor just picked. He's the monarch.
Oh, yeah. He picked. It's like, nah.
Emperor's the monarch.
It's my responsibility. It is my kingdom to rule, to be responsible for, to be the shepherd for my flock. I love it.
This really is the book that made Alexander an emperor even better. And they are such standouts.
The characters you care about outside of Hadrian.
Yes.
Uniquely on
that's what made it much better.
I love the Emperor, not just because of Hadrian's relationship to the Emperor.
That's what's important versus Cassandra, right?
Yes.
And Alexander, I love Alexander's character. Why he's more of an irreplaceable character, because it's not. That's what we mean by Cassandra. Cassandra could be replaced with another daughter figure character, whereas Alexander and the Emperor are so realized. And then we also have a Lauren, who is a great ally throughout this book. But a little special nod to Lorien I liked a lot in this one, especially how he bounced off of Hadrian in this book as well. Because if Hadrian's to have a character arc in this final book, it's trust, as corny as trust is, but it really is trust, and that comes in two ways. One, between him and Lorien. He kept information from Lorien in Disquiet Gods, not telling Lorien that the Callan Herendites was Consagura. Now, Hadrian says it's because people would have found out. There was no way to give you the information. But Lorien knows there's a way to do it. You also didn't want to risk. You knew I was also on Killing Henry's side.
Ultimately, it was because he didn't trust Lorien.
And so in this book now, after we see the scene with Cassandra getting killed over and over again, and he sees Lorien betrays him, Ushara shows him this. After Ushara shows him this, he's then confronting reality outside of this battle against the Watcher Ushara, and Lorien asks him a question. I'm trying to remember what information it was, but it was vital. It was Lorien was asking him like what you plan to do, or was it destroying the sun, or it was something, just the plans. It was either destroying the sun, or it was let's say it was one of those. And then instead of hesitating, Hadrian just goes, he tells him the plan. He says, I'm going to trust, and I'm just going to say what it is. He learns his lesson from the prior book and trusts in Lorien. And in that same way, Hadrian's trust is much in the quiet, because he's asking himself, am I a good man? Am I a good man? And he has to confront and just realize, hey, I just have to trust that this was the fate and plan. This was it. And so
trust the plan.
Trust the process. It's essentially what Hadrian is doing here with both his character interactions with Lorien, with the quiet, everybody. So it's also nice to see there's still growth for a character 7 books in.
The person he doesn't trust, Cassandra. He lies to her a lot. The same exact lie, like 5 separate times.
Yeah.
Of, hey, Cassandra, I won't leave you again. I won't abandon you to go like self-sacrifice myself. Cassandra's like, are you sure, Dad? And he's like, yeah, I'll take you with me. Like we're here together. Then he abandons her again. And he's like,
and does he
Dad,
regret that?
Stop leaving me. Stop leaving me behind. Stop trying to go on these suicide missions. And he's like, I won't, daughter. And he does it again. Like every single time.
A lot of lies to Cassandra.
Yeah. At a certain point, I'm like,
Cassandra did die for 15 minutes or so. And she saw Velka.
Yes. Very beautiful scene. Oh, lovely.
Any other characters did you want to focus on? We have Eduardo. We have Anaz, the Urkatani. We have Yod and Kedron. We have some of the Chantry figures. Those were the standouts for me. It was really Hadrian, Emperor, Alexander, Lorien.
I think the Cielsen, the 3 Cielsen.
The
2
Ramanthanu, right?
Ramanthanu,
that's important.
Othanu, like the mate, and then also the child. Especially the child. As far as characters, I liked seeing their perspective on how they view, because great question of justice, of for something to be a crime, or for someone to be guilty of a crime, generally you have to have awareness of.
Yeah, wasn't that a great? Oh, that's a great for thought-provoking too. What a neat scene.
You have to have awareness that what you did was a crime, and so the fact that the Cielsen, through their own experience and through their culture, saw what the Urktani were doing as an insult, and the correct response to it was violence. And the Urktani saw what they were doing as disobedience and responded with violence and kind. So like that fight was from both their cultures was they were both in the right, and they don't see so for justice to take place, like whose culture, whose lines who do you follow? Like,
what did you think of Hadrian's answer there?
Well, ultimately, Hadrian's like, hey, look, we follow the rule of like man here. Like ultimately, the Cielsen are wrong. They killed the Urktani. That's the right thing to do. And he would have, and was hesitant because like, man, these are the last 2. They're the last 2 Cielsen that like it's proof that the Cielsen can change. The Cielsen, like as a species, there's hope for their species to coexist with humans. There's a possibility. And then on top, like, oh, they're with child. All right, I'm going to he basically denies justice. He delays it and says, like, I need all of you. Like, basically, he knows that before in previous books is like, justice tempered with mercy. And basically, mercy is good, but tempered with justice. This was a moment where Hadrian gave mercy when their justice was demanded. So he tempered justice with mercy in this case because of it wasn't just the individual things, like the last 2 Cielsen that could maybe bring hope to saving the rest of their species, along with one is with child, and like it's not right to kill the child. The child is innocent. And then beyond that, like, okay, yeah, he could technically wait until the child's born and then kill the last 2 Cielsen, but then realizing these are, like, I can't give the child Cielsen to literally anyone else. Like, there are no other Cielson. Like, if we had other Cielson, like, yeah, sure, okay, kill the parents and take the child away and, like, let it be raised by its kind, because that's the only way. But, like, I don't know how to raise a Ciel, like, practically speaking. Like, the child is innocent, save the child. To save the child, to have it be raised to any semblance of a proper state, like, it needs its parents. And so he's just like, I'm just going to have to deny justice for him. I thought that was really interesting.
That was really interesting. I love that plotline.
So much practical problems there, and really lovely.
Yes.
And then I think the proof that we get is the more mystical side of things, of the Watchers have been controlling the Cielson or influencing the Cielson for generations since their rise from the caves.
Mm-hmm.
And this child that was born on the Demiurge, that is hidden from the Watchers, and ignorant of the Cielson culture. And so this is the first Cielson child born without the influence of the Watchers. And you see how it actually can play with the other human children and actually does have friends. And there seems to be this great cooperation. You go, oh, wow, this really could change. Like,
which is another part of the sweet and the bittersweet ending. There's potential. There's potential.
And, like, after this, like, there is going to be an extermination. Hadrian even mentions, like, he's seen the work camps from the Cielson. All of this, it's going to be brutal for Cielson, but also relatively justified. So, like, the Cielson went on a campaign of extermination and slavery and eating of human beings. So, like, don't want to give them too much, like, pity party.
But it's neat to see the young Hadrian who had that hope of some sort of alliance or some sort of convincing these Cielson. Otherwise, he saw how it was possible.
Yes.
Now, in no means was that going to work on the negotiation table, but he saw it work in his own home, in his ship, which was a neat full circle moment for young Hadrian to old.
But also, it's great hope for the larger picture of, hey, in Hadrian's time, will they see peace between humans and Cielson? Probably not. And many generations to come. But maybe in a few thousand years, when things are different, like, time will change. The story will alter. And without the Watchers there, Cielson and humans may be able to get along. The options on the table. Hopefully, humans and Cielson pick it one day.
Yep.
So I like that little moment of hope, even if it's dark at the moment.
That is really good, and we get a lot more of these the negligible characters. Like, we see a little boy Kit.
Yeah,
we see Kit. Do you want to go into plot or anything else for characters?
We haven't talked about Hadrian.
Yeah, we did.
We talked about it, I guess, in Emotional Impact and some other.
Yeah, no, his trust arc of him and Lorraine, him and God. Am I a good man? Oh, did you want to talk more of Hadrian? There's plenty more. Because that was his arc in this book, in book 7, and the mythos of Hadrian grows. The Hadrian. Was there more to say on Hadrian? Or
I guess you're right. We were just jumping around in different places. Yeah, we can go on to plot.
Yeah, plot 5 stars, floored me. What about you?
4.75.
Nearly floored at the beginning.
Beginning, but also I compare to Disquiet God's plot of there's just a little something like, this nearly floored me with its plot, but the beginning and some through the middle, like, it does take its time, but by the end it all felt justified for the most part. Like, I was like, yes, needed all that. I compare that to my feeling of Disquiet Gods, of while I was reading it, every single second, every single scene, I'm going, this is essential. Every scene felt justified the moment I was reading it, and there was like a feeling of trust as I'm going through, like, perfectly paced, perfect amount, no fluff, yes. This, I only got that feeling by the end, so it's a small thing.
You're comparing it to the Rockio standard, not the book standard. Because if you're just thinking, does this floor you as a book? Don't think of Disquiet Gods, does it? Or are you just saying, oh, I read a book where it was a 5, No, it has to be lower.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
However,
I had similar thoughts in my head, but I'm like, I think Disquiet Gods does it a little bit less words, but it still floored me. I mean,
yeah.
But I get your point. With our little, we got to get a little anal about things. So
yeah, and there's also the fact of I'm going to be a bit more critical, a bit more harsh with very long books. Mm-hmm. This is a very long book.
To me, every chapter was justified. Now the intro part, that first 10 chapters, I was questioning a bit. That's the most where I was, is that the way? Is that the perfect way to show this? And what really justified it was the Chantry reveal was major. Lorien and Hadrian's relationship in the beginning, needed to see where they were at, to see where they ended up in this book, was also essential to see at Vergosos.
Everything with Cassandra in that moment was very necessary for it was all
great setup
compared to Disquiet Gods. I know we did criticize Cassandra being not as connected to her as we maybe should have. Mm-hmm. However, this book did do
more than
Disquiet Gods. Yep. Her death and her meeting her mother, also finding out more about why does she not get her arm back. And I think it is really touching of the reason why she doesn't get her arm back is because she believes in her father's belief on the quiet, and the understanding of if I should get my arm back, I will get it the same way my dad did. The quiet will restore it for me. I don't need this is part of the plan. I'm going to trust.
Hadrian's got to learn that.
I'm going to trust my dad. I'm going to trust in the quiet to restore it. I think it's
touching. Yeah.
It's a touching moment, and also the little bit of rage in her and the despair, and that lets the watchers in, and beautiful moment and terrible. So I enjoyed that stuff with her.
Yeah, definitely. For the plot, promise, progress, payoff. We know what we're promised from the beginning. It's son's going to be eaten.
Yeah.
This was the promise in book 1, but also in book 7, certainly. We know what's going to happen in this book. Our big midpoint here was the Gododin section of the politicking and betrayal of the Chantry and Alexander, and putting Hadrian in a position where everybody was hating him. This was the special part of the plot for me here, was how well that worked. We could talk about the rest too, but it was such a convincing and interesting political drama that was set up, because Hadrian, when he enters the Gododin system, gives a show of force and destroys the furthest planet from the Gododin system's sun. Right? Ademanin or something, starts with an E or something like that. Destroys that planet. It turns out that there was a small group of people in orbit around the planet. There
was 12, a few dozen people.
But he thought, and it was an abandoned planet, that just nobody lived on that planet. That's why he destroyed it as a show of force, to show, hey, this is what he has in the cards. And he does that. And on top of that, he's coming back from a failed mission on Danu, where he put this grandstand, he convinced everybody, he said, hey, I'm going to end the battle here. Let's go. I have the emperor's support. We're going to go. I'm going to destroy Doriaika and so forth. But when he comes back to the Gododin system, and he's now destroyed the planet and he failed on Danu, well, Alexander the Chantry have so much to show the people how bad Hadrian is. Because look at this person who destroyed a planet and then failed at his mission and said he would. They said that this was the last stand. Well, now we're doing a second last stand, and now we've been waiting 2 years, saying that the Cielcin are going to come, and this is going to be where they all end up. He's lying to us, and also them orchestrating a lot of this as well, and blocking off the comms for 2 years. What a reveal that was when we find out the Eternal City had been destroyed for 2 years. What a plot! The Machiavellian nature of that. Oh my goodness, that was such a great reveal, and loved that. But there was debate scenes in one of the rooms or the ship where Alexander and their supporters were talking about how, look at what Hadrian's done on Danu, he's failed, while Hadrian's supporters are going, we still killed 9 world ships. We killed 9 world ships. That's never happened in any battle in history. And look, we have the Suneater, so the back and forth between them, they were both so justified in their righteous anger. It was so beautiful to watch.
Also, how necessary of the quiet telling Hadrian of or telling Hadrian through orphan of you're going to get distracted. There are things are going to you do not take the bait. Do not leave the Gododin system. Like, no matter what happens, stay in the Gododin system. You need to blow up this sun. There are things that are going to try and distract you and take you out. Here's the thing. Think about what would have happened if the Chantry actually did let things through and told people 2 years earlier that Forum was destroyed.
Oh, people would have probably...
People would have let... Hadrian wouldn't have been able to keep everyone together there.
Exactly.
They're like, so in a way, the Chantry
helped.
The Chantry helped. Like that them keeping it secret was the only way that the rest of the fleet would actually stay at Gododin. And
this is what we were talking about too in the way that this book could end in any chapter, but we get Hadrian going to the Emperor to convince him, goes to Danu, comes back to Gododin, being blocked off and staying here waiting for the second battle against Doriaika. It could have ended at any chapter, but none of it felt like it was tacked on. None of it felt like this is just to make the book longer. Mm-hmm. This was all I was mentioning earlier how each chapter felt as though we were getting payoff of build-up from all the prior books. The politicking certainly felt like that on steroids of getting to see Alexander and Hadrian's relationship chapter by chapter, and also how it played off the emperor. And we got, it was when he became Octor at the midpoint, and it was great because, Save the Cat, typical storytelling book, which shows you, hey, what should you do in the midpoint? There's either a false victory or a false defeat. And in the middle, if you have a false victory, it's like, oh, things are good, which happens in this book. A false victory becomes Octor, but then after that victory, things keep going to shit. This feels like a good moment, but now everything is getting worse and worse and worse. It's like textbook, this is how to do a great plot, right?
Especially now that, hey, Hadrian's always kind of been on the outside. The responsibility is like, people are throwing things onto him, but ultimately he is just Hadrian Marl. He's outside. Mm-hmm. He's not the ruler. Now he's been given Octor. Now when things start falling apart, it has to be his fault. Mm-hmm. Like, it just all the blame we were already trying to put on you, now it all goes to Hadrian. Mm-hmm. Like, when things fail, it's now the Octor's fault. And it works. And he gets to be the fall guy for everything.
How intense were those scenes on Gododin?
Oh, yeah.
Those are awesome to see. And we got very much in the nitty-gritty of warfare versus the prior books, where all the prior books was flash and bangs, just big battle sequences. This one felt as though there was more of is the correct term, MMORPG or a game, what's a city building game, just more where it's the production behind the war. It's not just the war itself. It had to do with what's happening with the farmland, what is going,
How beautiful. I think one of the more tragic, beautiful, wonderful moments was the realization of one of the ships within the fleet of this is the ship that was on, it was the ship that Hadrian saw being built when he was confined after Demon in White. And when he was with Falca.
Oh, yeah, what a moment. What a moment.
He got to see being built. And then, now, hundreds of years later, he gets this, he's watched this thing be built piece by piece. He sees it in the fleet. It doesn't even get to fire a shot, and it's wiped out.
Like that, all those years of use, just meaningless.
But the sentimental of seeing that ship being built.
But destroyed.
And it destroyed instantly. But rather than focusing on just, ship got destroyed, getting us to remember and reference this ship we've seen before in previous books and how long this has taken. It added so much more significance to that moment. It's a great way to focus it. And that when all these ships being blown up around us, hey, remember this ship built, it was in the process of being built books ago.
Yes.
And this
that was so cool to see, and to see, but also that how it was described and worded by Hadrian of just gone.
Yeah.
Gone. So another really beautiful thing about this plot will work so well is having our minor antagonists and then our major antagonists in different forms. We had the Watchers, then Doriaika, but then just the Chantry and Alexander, who are all Hadrian's obstacles in this story. And we had
They all kind of switched places from moment to moment of which
that
was
was great.
which is the primary villain of. From the beginning, you think it's the Watchers, Doryaika, or Doryaika, the Watchers, then... No, it's always been the Watchers, Doryaika, then the Chantry. Chantry have always been, like, the secondary villains. And then by the end of it, Doryaika is taken out. The Watchers are also taken out. And then by the end, the Chantry is still kind of the big bad.
Do you agree with this, though? Without the Chantry, not only is there not really a big book here, but it would be incredibly boring in comparison. Just not a great political drama.
Oh yeah,
because then what? Okay, we're fighting the. Up to this point, you're going the Chantry. This was the Chantry villain book. This is the reveal.
Interesting twist or interesting change in direction of book one being, hey, the Chantry are just the bad guys. Nothing really redeemable. Then as the books go on, they're always the antagonist to Hadrian, but Hadrian starts learning more, and even in Howling Dark, of when he sees he goes to the Extrasolarian outpost, and seeing it is horrified and realizing, like,
the Chantry have somewhat of a point here.
The Chantry have a point.
Yeah,
I don't agree with their methods. They're too extreme in some facets, but they have a point.
And hey, they might be hypocrites, we find out, but are they wrong about what the Extrasolarians are doing?
Exactly. And Hadrian kind of always believing that, like, hey, look, the Chantry are, like, my personal enemies. Because they want to kill me. But he doesn't consider the Chantry, like, the Empire's enemy of going, like, they're an annoyance for me personally.
Right.
Because they think I'm a threat to their establishment, which I guess I am, but... They're annoying.
No,
but
yeah.
he still believes, like, hey, there's still...
At least they believe what they believe.
Hey,
right.
look, he's like, I kind of need the Chantry on my side when, like, I'm going up against daemons. Got it? Like, he still trusts them to do that. And then this book is revealing, like, nope, they're actually, like, the ultimate hypocrites, ultimate bad guys. They're controlling everything behind the scenes. They are demoniacs. Like, they have their own AI.
Old Earth is still around.
Yep. So,
and that was an interesting play to see. Is Doryaika going to go after the Eternal City or Old Earth?
Yep.
What's going to happen there? Not both. That's good. Still got Old Earth at least, which is now going to be a problem for the future, for Edward and Cassandra, etc. But my goodness, what was so the political drama there? And then we even got the more micro obstacles, what you mentioned between his Cielson crew, Ramanthana, and them versus the Urkatani, and just the squabbles that were happening on his ship that he had to take control of and make decisions. Every layer, this space opera had it all. Everything you could ask for was
the politicking with even Selene of how to operate this relationship, how much Hadrian's actually telling us what's going on or not. I thought that was pretty interesting how to deal with that as well.
That was very cool. And not to mention all the stuff with the Emperor, of course, as well. And when that plot point, I thought it was a big reveal with the genetic engineering of the Palatines, or the Emperor having the key to everybody's line has control over who's a Palatine or not, was what led us to the end having that bittersweet ending of the Solan Empire is just on this slow collapse now. And my God, what makes this... Yeah.
I do find it interesting as far as the reveal, it's more of like, oh, of course. Because from the beginning, like, hey, you have to have the Emperor's permission to have children because they're the only one. Like, them, the Chancellor, they're only ones that are able to do this. It doesn't, like, that makes sense of like, okay, well, then the Empire has some means of actually doing this. The fact that the Jadians have figured it out, like, why wouldn't the other nobles, why wouldn't the other Palatines figured out how to do it themselves? They should be able to. It makes sense that I always thought, like, the Empire had some hand in controlling it.
I thought it was in the same way that China's one-child policy. Like, you could, but how is it?
But it makes more sense of like every time they've tried, like it has an intis comes out. So like it was either the Empire was holding back the technology in the sense of like the Palatines don't have the technical ability in there.
Sure.
Like that's what it's held back, but it's But the
more
fact
than
that
that,
it was more than that. Like,
It's more,
it was by design to
Yes.
control them. And beyond that, it goes beyond the Chantry. The Chantry may monitor and actually do a lot of the gene therapy and growing it, but it's the Emperor himself that has the actual genetic keys.
Yep. And that's why when Nicephorus had it and got killed, that's it.
Yep.
Because when you enter those places, if you're not allowed, it collapses. It's over. And so,
or that node is.
Yes.
But
and so the ending where we have the destruction of the sun, the payoff we've all been waiting for, and what made that especially good, that this had to happen for me to be floored by the plot, is that could not have been just do the ends justify the means sort of thing. Very boring, could be very dull.
Book 4 basically already settled that decision.
What an uninteresting way to talk about things would have been. Just, hey, was Hadrian right? It as we talked about in the thought-provoking section, it was much more than that. I really appreciate where it was placed in the book too, of having 10 chapters after that. That was a great spot to put it, because then we get every one of those chapters afterwards, how it was new information was so gripping to go, where are we now? Well, we know he ends up on Colchist, but what was your favorite part there? Anything that stuck out for you? Because I was eating all that stuff up. That was, want me to keep going?
I was eating all that stuff up, but clearly I think the best scene is Hadrian in the throne room. Alexander's there, and Hadrian laid bare, taking off the rings of, like, you all see, like, I'm literally controlling, like, the not sentinels, but the emperor's soldiers listen to me. The only way that happens is if I'm actually the emperor.
Yeah.
So, what's true?
And then the Chantry and Alexander's point is, our father was ill at the end of his life. How could you could totally see their retorts make sense, but God, they stuck to the bitter end.
But it's Hadrian's noble loss of taking the swan song out, Alexander just trying to goad him of, like, this is my victory, like, I have finally beaten you, and Hadrian just going, all right,
tough luck, kid.
Yeah. Hey, I've accomplished, like, again, it's Alexander thinking that, like, Hadrian's whole goal is to take the emperor's seat, take the empire, and take the throne. I mean, and Hadrian just keep telling him over and over, dude, I don't even want the throne. You keep coveting this. Like, it was given to me, and reluctantly I took it. And beyond that, like, I have accomplished my goal. I have saved the human race. I have beaten the Cielsen. Everything after that is an afterthought. I've done my job. Okay, you could take it from me. And
it's a perfectly bittersweet ending. I mean, that is, do you think it's more bitter, sweet, or bittersweet?
It's the right amount. It's bittersweet.
Right on 50-50?
Is
it more bitter or more sweet?
Depending on how you view Selene's position in this. If Hadrian is truly alone in Colchis, and he's alone, Selene has also died, doesn't get to see Cassandra ever again, and he just goes off to Colchis to, like, he apparently is not aging, doesn't sleep. He's just kind of this eternal, ever-living figure. He doesn't even get to go see... He's Consagara naturally, and he basically means he can't go see Valka ever again, because he's just, like, being kept alive. It's like, that's pretty torturous. He doesn't even get to go see his wife.
Well, his wife Selene.
But he doesn't get to see anybody again. So, depending on how you view it, if that's the case, it's more bitter than sweet. But if you view it with the 2 wine cups, the little hint...
Because the context of that is Selene and him got married, right, for the emperor, but Alexander and them are thinking, oh, well, at least what they're saying publicly is Selene is being forced to do so. And clearly Alexander finds out this is not the case, but yeah.
Yeah. But then the lie is being like, hey, she's not with me. I don't know where she is. Something else happened. So that way, whatever, like, they don't look for her, whatever happened to her. But if that is the case, that Selene is actually with Hadrian and her do have that kind of happy ending. They get to be together, and Hadrian gets to go on another adventure to go find his daughter. I think it's far more, like, 50-50 of bittersweet, which
Yes.
I choose to take it that way.
And here's where the sweet comes in too, because right before, so we mentioned this earlier, the reading from There Are Endings, Reader, and this is one. That portion, like how beautiful that is about unlearning history, and his story is done, but his greater story there is incomplete. There's still more to come because we're all just part of the quiet story. But right before that, as he was asking this question, why it was such a big moment of, am I a good man? Am I a good man? What's going on? Where is the quiet? We have, at once, a peace filled my chest like wine, and I heard it then, one final time. A single note, as a bell at the close of day, clear and sweet and sudden. It was enough. In that final moment, I recalled the message Praetanus and Lorien had given me, that little roll of paper, and the words thinly inked upon it. Marlowe, Marlowe, it had said, the first spike. Where were you when? Here, I answered then and silently, knowing he could hear me. Right here. Somewhere, it seemed to me a million light years away, a man in black raised his sword. Another pulled a lever. The earth fell away beneath my feet, and wings immortal took my weight. The line, the spider's thread, went taut. They had wanted me to suffer. The spinners of that thread had wanted me to choke and purple and gasp. But the Absolute, in his mercy, his kindness, his tender care, broke my neck at once. His death scene, right? So Hadrian's death scene there where he hears one final time, where were you when, which refers to the where were you when I laid the foundations of earth, knowing that the quiet was there with him in this final moment. But he did not die quite yet, is on Colchis. What a beautiful, bittersweet ending of knowing, hey, the quiet was still with him, even though he's asking himself and it cannot foresee the future any farther. Unlearn, just all of it comes together in those final several pages. Just what a way to end it. It just makes me feel good.
Well,
it's
then
like,
even after not knowing where it goes, you think to yourself like,
I love it.
Because before that you go, has the quiet abandoned Hadrian now that he has completed his goal? Because a big part of it, him going like
that was the for 10 chapters, right?
Well, even before, much before, is going like him telling Cassandra like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like one, and also telling Cassandra Lynn, like, I've accomplished what I was set to do.
Yes.
I have no expectation that the quiet will continue to help me at all. Like I've accomplished my mission. Like the quiet could abandon me. And that moment is a good nod that the quiet has not abandoned Hadrian despite him completing his mission. And so that the quiet is still there.
It's perfectly sweet.
And so going off, so in the future, like, trust the plan.
But it's also got that great amount of bitterness of what happens to Solon Empire, but also did Alexander the Chantry defeat him in this moment? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they did.
But
again,
to a part of it,
side,
on the sweet side, Hadrian gets to see all the things leading up to this of like, if he were to be emperor, he would have to then the rest of his life be like the emperor. He'd have to
fight against all these obstacles.
Fight against on all sides. Can't trust anyone. Has to fight the Chantry and do all. It would be another great burden for him. Like it's not a fun thing. Him being emperor is not. It's never been what he wanted. He thought like he had to keep it away from the Chantry's hands. Right. So in a way, it is kind of sweet. Like, do we really want Hadrian to be burdened with another monumental great task where he's done enough? It's someone else's like, Hadrian, you've accomplished the goal. Go spend your time with family. Like, have a different adventure. Have an adventure that doesn't require divine intervention. Go have a
coffee, freaking weirdo. Stop doing.
Spend some time with your wife. Go find your daughter and have a small, have a novella adventure. You don't need another.
Imagine him in a cozy fantasy. Just makes everything melodramatic. Of the coffee seared my tongue in the most brutal of ways. I looked at this coffee like it was from the seven hells, and I faced it like the devil it was. It would not burn me again. Reader, you and I must understand. The burns of a coffee is that could be a great spin-off series of him just being melodramatic over like the most nuisance of things.
Can can you imagine how this? I think would this make it even more bitter of a story if Hadrian was the emperor, sits on the throne, and has to push away Cassandra to protect her in some form, and he sits on the throne and realizing that, like, also him being effectively immortal. I don't know if he even ages, and so him just being the immortal emperor and realizing, oh, the mission isn't over. I still I now have to fight on all sides, and he's just like,
I'll be honest. No, I like this one perfectly.
But that's him dying, him losing.
Yeah,
the emperor's seat is
even giving the satisfaction to Alexander is bitter. You know.
Yeah.
That it's. Oh.
But that's a question is how much, because I like the reference back to book 1 of how Hadrian never wanted to be the heir to Maedwar of, like, you know, the Marlowe family. He never wanted to succeed his father, but equally so, he never wanted Crispin to be the heir. Like, so when he was not chosen to be the heir, he resented Crispin for it. In the same vein of he never wanted to be emperor, but he couldn't stand Alexander being emperor. And so, again, it's a good lesson of, like, let it go. Like, you don't want to be emperor. Don't hold that resentment.
Right.
So, beautiful parallel to book 1.
And a lovely thing about endings in general, reader, is that I love when a book or any type of story ends where it's completely satisfies and pays you off of everything you got, but also leaves you questioning or wanting more. This is a trick that all writers do, and Rocchio, we were talking to him, does it as well. When you reveal something or give something away, don't give everything, because then it gets rid of the mystery and the fun of it. Where this book ends, it satisfies Hadrian's story, but then the outer world, which we'll talk about shortly, but the world and the stories to come, this world feels like yet so much more will happen. I'm leaving this going, Hadrian's story is absolutely complete. Yeah. Oh my God, my head's running. Well,
not even complete. Like, enough.
No.
Enough to say, like,
this story is complete. We are paid off what was promised. That's all I mean.
Yes.
And then the further thing going on is, will Hadrian be back? Because he's looking for Cassandra, and Cassandra and Edward going to possibly Sabine. We know the implications of this, of the chantry and control. There's so many questions of, it doesn't overstay its welcome, but I'm like, where's the next book? You know, but not in the fact that it didn't pay off everything that it promised, but also that it's just, there's some movies out there. I don't spoil anything, but like Your Name, I'll toss out as a movie. Just ends with that. It pays off everything, but then your imagination runs rampant with, now where will it go? Now it ends perfectly because your imagination is better than the ending that would have been told. Which, this is an important time to mention. Rocchio ended the story, I think, 2 or 3 chapters early, where originally there was more, like 94, 95 chapters, something like that. Mm-hmm. But he had it planned for where he was absolutely going to end it.
It's also important to mention this plan.
Yeah.
This is the ending and the book that he was planned for years.
Oh, yeah. 16, it was in his imagination.
This was the ending. He meticulously planned this. And so for him to
end it there.
End it here. 3 chapters early.
Yeah. Which Your Name is apt too, because remember the director of that thought that
he didn't have enough time.
He didn't have enough time and cut the movie short.
Yeah.
The perfect ending is also don't overstay your welcome. Don't give everything. Leave it so that I'll go back to that. Your imagination can be better than what's actually written in the book, because it leaves you wanting. It leaves that craving. It's when don't eat too much food. Don't be gluttonous and eat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plates and then feel bad about it. Eat just enough to satisfy it, but then still like, I could also use another round of dessert. But don't get the dessert though. It's that perfect balance. It's like playing. I said I would do chess analogies. All
okay.
Right. How am I going to pull this one off?
It's when you see an option for the Queen's Gambit, but then you also see another opportunity to take, you see the Queen's Gambit, but then you try to see an opportunity to take like a bishop. It's like, you don't be too greedy. Just take the queen. You leave other options on.
You don't take the queen in the Queen's Gambit.
I thought you sacrifice your queen.
No. The Queen's Gambit is just you move a pawn, the queen side pawn up and sacrifice a pawn. It's not actually you're sacrificing the queen. It's just a
that's
queen.
not
Queen.
it.
It's just a pawn. Yeah.
That's
A pawn
way-
is
that-
sacrificed.
That's a lot more lame than I thought.
Yeah, trust me. In chess, you're not. If you sacrifice your queen, it's like you got a big brain play coming because
Yeah.
otherwise, yeah,
I know.
It's like
What would that play be called?
well, a queen getting lost.
A queen
there's
deliberately being sacrificed.
there's a queen sacrifice.
Oh, okay.
Like Bobby Fischer in a very famous game did a queen sacrifice, but in return he got like a rook, knight, and pawn or something like that. And so people will sacrifice queens if they can get equal compensation or board position. Mainly it's whatever. There's going to be an analogy somewhere here. I'll find it by the end. We'll see. But man, this plot perfected that end. No, don't end it any other way. Give it me just like that. And then the wanting of more. It's like a textbook. It's textbook. It's this is what you got to do. It's so good. And oh yeah, he's going up. Come on. But here's the thing too. Floor doesn't mean perfect, right? Floor does not
right.
have to mean perfect. I agree with you on the little bit on the intro thing, and Disquiet Gods might have had.
Would I give the edge to Disquiet Gods maybe
I'd
on
like
a
to,
full book?
yeah.
However, the ending of this book deserves a little extra
How
credit.
hard
of
is that to do?
How
How
can I
hard
not
is that?
how can I not say floored with this ending?
I know.
That's what
Yeah.
the ending put so much of like
Just right.
it's perfection for 7 books that this is the ending for 7 books.
You know how heartwarming it is that Wind of Truth ends like we have a book. Yes, series can end well. That can happen. Oh. Okay. Do you want to go on to world building?
Yep.
5 stars. 5 stars.
floored.
Floored.
Okay.
Floored.
To get it off, like the reason why it's flooring, it floored me is the fine line that this series balances between large epic. This is galactic opera. So we are going across the galaxy, these multiple different planets, star systems. And yet, so it is large. We're traveling far distances. Like it takes a lot of time to travel between the stars. So it feels like a large galaxy.
Yeah.
And yet, we still do get to visit planets that we've seen before. We do get, it still is a world that is familiar. It's not always the world of the frontier. We're not always just like new planet, new planet, new planet.
Mandalorian style.
Exactly. We are revisiting.
Yeah.
But we revisit in new context. Hundreds of years pass. The cultures are different. The people are not always the same. Like landscapes are functionally different. The fact that we get to see Annika. Yeah. Annika. We get to see in multiple different ways in different points of time. We see Annika first as the ruins that Hadrian sees with Valka. This inexperienced player like in this kind of dead planet. Then we get to see it when in that same book, Annika in the far future as Hadrian is on the mountaintop. This beautiful the last remaining planet, the last planet to die in our universe. Then later on, we get to see that more in full. And we didn't know that it was the last planet. Then we get to see it again in this one as he shows Aloran and a greater context of this machinery of the quiet system. But it comes back to it as a place of refuge. And then passing this along to Aloran and Cassandra of like, understand the importance of this planet. This will be the last planet in the universe that still gets to feel the warmth of a sun. Like this planet will be here long before, like it will outlast us all. Like, this is the planet eternal. That is an important fact. Like to know that fact is
It's awesome.
It's great. And so revisiting it in different contexts is great. Same thing with Gododin. Same
Absolutely.
thing with Forum. Seeing the Empire in different contexts as we get to see their system. Colchis as well. I've loved Colchis, but focusing on this book.
Does it make you forget reality when you're reading this?
The Demiurge.
Absolutely.
The Demiurge.
Yes.
We've now come back to it and we get to see it in book 2 and how creepy and weird it was and terrifying. And now Hadrian owns the ship. It's his ship, but it's still foreign. It's still weird, but we've stripped away some of the layers. Like, I love all of this. Perfect.
It is.
It's familiar and new. Balances it. I'm fully immersed.
Like Danu was new.
Danu is new, but so good.
It's so incredible. We get
I mentioned before the ship that Hadrian and Volca got to see built on in their exile.
Another example.
That's another example of that great familiar world building.
The thing that Suneater's able to do is that wide time scale to make it feel like a history in and of itself. And you have to do this, especially with Hadrian being this mythos figure. All that's excellent. We get the Chantry world building alone with finding out about Old Earth and them having daemons all along. Them and Emperor and their beef and their history together as well, making the Empire feel like it has this actual in context now. It is so realized with Felsenburg and the AI and finding out that they actually were helping humanities in some way and on Vergosos and the constant reveals. A lot happens in Disquiet Gods, and then this just builds upon that. We get
well, also how much it makes sense of how does the genie go back in the bottle of humans have created this AI and we just destroyed them all. We never built them back. We never kept a remnant. We never learned, like, nope, that's not possible. And then you also think logically, because a lot of this is going, how does the Empire function with all, like, no AI, no computer systems that are that advanced? Of like, how do they manage communication systems across a galaxy? Of like, especially you look at all the other different, all the other groups around the galaxy that are not the Empire. The Empire is the largest. Like that kind of galactic scale planning and organization and just systems of infrastructure and supply line routes, all these complex stuff. Like, there's a reason why they're the largest and can do that because of AI. It's because of the machines allow humans to grow that large. Versus Jad. Jad doesn't, as far as we know, Jad doesn't have that kind of scale, and it makes sense. They don't have AI. They don't have the ability to do this large scale infrastructure and planning and communications array. They don't have the AI system, so they have to be far more localized.
Even thinking about this world, how do you pull this off? Yeah. There's so many moving pieces. If you had to say, as qualities of world building go, obviously the history is a big one. Is there another category thing you'd say that's done really well? For example, the alien cultures, like Urkatani, and seeing how they worship Hadrian.
I love being able to see how that happened
and
through
developed,
history.
Right? Yeah.
So there's things that are history before Hadrian that we get to uncover, also some things that are still hidden. But then we also get to see the birth and the origin of history. We get to see something that just kind of appears. It doesn't seem as significant. Hadrian with Udax, and we remember that moment in Demon in White. And that being the Urktani's like foundational religious moment of they wanting to reach the stars, become
like
equal to man.
Yeah.
And then the tragedy of that, of Hadrian never really able to fulfill that for them and treats them like the tools, that he can't really fulfill that promise.
Yeah.
So that history is wonderful to see.
It is. Oh.
I also say the culture's unique systems. I think Jad feels distinctly different than the Empire, even though they're like kind of an offshoot. Like the extrasolarians and their positions and why they're all so fractured, and it also goes toward the more ideological reasons of the extrasolarians are a individualist. Culturally, they take individualism to the extreme of the reason why they're not unified by any one culture or one, like they constantly tell the Empire, like, we are not a people. Like the extrasolarians are not a people, versus the Empire does have a sense of commonality and unity,
yes,
which does make them strong. And so it's the atomized versus the collectives. And then you have even other different cultures of like actually collectives. So absolutely brilliant.
If you're an aspiring author out there, all we mean by world building and how to accomplish it, what does that mean? Is just, does the world exist outside of our protagonist?
Mhm.
That is world building. Does it feel real outside of just the point of view you're getting? And this absolutely pulls that off. Where think of Earth as a world. The reason the Earth has the best world building, no book can come close to Earth in our history, just because I might be living my life, but literally billions of other lives are happening that are all existing, and cultures and history. Everything exists outside of me. And that's what you have to pull off in a book, or try to pull off in a book. And outside of Hadrian, everything exists despite him.
Despite Hadrian being the most important person in the universe
changing, still it lives outside of him.
Godlike being. God has spoken to him, and yet the universe does still live outside of him. He is not the center of the universe.
We find about the Hapsis last book, right? And all of these mechanisms are preceding him and will proceed after he's gone. And that's the hints that we get of it. Even though Hadrian's story in Suneater is done, maybe we'll see him again featured. I don't know. That's a little worry I know we both have of if there's something else in Suneater, if let's say Cassandra gets books or somebody else, are we just going to be going, oh, it's good, but
Hadrian's shadow is mighty long.
It's a mighty long
I am
shadow.
worried that any other series subsequent after this will be in the shadow of Hadrian Marlowe.
Even Dregs of Empire, it's why it wasn't the most flooring thing for me. It was like,
Yeah.
It was tough. It was going like, the coolest moment in Dregs of Empire was when
Hadrian showed up.
Can we say
sorry,
that? Yeah.
Please bleep that.
Bleep that part, but that was the coolest part. Yes.
Do we have to bleep that? This is like
oh, you're right. We don't have to
spoiler.
bleep that. Yeah, it's Dregs of Empire. It's fine.
It's past.
Yeah, it's fine. It's
Never mind. Don't bleep
It's
it.
a novella. It's in between Suneater books. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Is that the right thing? Am I a good man? Are we good men? I don't know. Tell us. Are we? Where were you when you spoiled the book for? Where were you when you laid the foundations for spoilers? I don't know. Okay, so it's unbelievable world building. I don't know what else to say other than just fantastic.
Floored me.
Anything else for world building?
Oh God, I love all the technology into it. An aspect of this is, and I know the complaints will be centered around, I think what Rockio does well is, from the beginning, I've really liked how the Suneater universe handles its science of, I've brought it up before, of cryofreeze isn't just cryofreeze.
Right.
It's, goes into the details of draining fluids, keeping the blood offhand, using this different fluid to keep that runs through your system.
Yes.
All this stuff is great. How the genetic sequencing works. I like all these more hard details of the sci-fi world, but then it goes in the more fantastical with the other elements of the quiet's abilities and powers. Not trying to make it too magic system-y of like there's a cost benefit and like turning it into a science. Like,
as Rockio said, the cost is Hadrian's soul. Right?
Yeah.
That's the battle with Ushara.
Yeah, exactly. So when Hadrian's battling the gods, it really wouldn't work if you try to science it out. It's,
oh my God,
it's a divine battle, meaning like it has to be more the fantasy. Like there's not a magic system. It's a personal thing. It's a battling of the soul.
We can talk about him just teleporting places. Like, hey, Hadrian, how'd you get with the emperor? Like he just walks and then is in next to the emperor. Yeah, he has that power. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What a aura. Such aura. Wow. I'm just baffled. Does Hadrian have more aura than Darrow? Yeah. I think he does. Does.
That is true. Darrow doesn't have galaxy bending aura.
I might shed a tear. It's so true. Oh. Come on, Pierce with Red God, you gotta come back strong. You gotta come and make me contemplate which is my favorite sci-fi series. I can't decide. If Red God has to be a 5 stars though for it to compete with Suneater. Has to be.
And
Literally
even that,
has to be. Because how many? 1, 2. I have 3 books in Suneater that are 5 stars. Wow.
damn.
Also 3 in Red Rising that are 5 stars. So
True.
damn.
But,
Okay.
yeah.
Prose time.
Prose time.
Prose. I gave it 5 stars. Floored me.
Yep, I gave it 5 stars. I have a couple quotes I want to read. I think
Read them. It's reading time.
I have a little section here. I just think it's a good example of how a very simple line gives a sense of scale, and I think it's really beautiful.
Mhm.
This is Hadrian describing this planet. Sinon barely turned about her axis, completing 1 rotation every 917 standard days. So, orientation every God, why did I quote this wrong? Whatever. So every 917 standard days. So it took more than a year for the sun to rise there and fall. I did not know it then, but it was the last day of that dead world. I think I butchered reading it, but I just like the description of how giving it the scale
Perspective.
and properly utilizing the framed narrative of this day that like it takes 917 standard days. It took more than a year for the sun to rise and rise and fall. I didn't know then that was the last day on that dead world.
Because the day is much longer.
The day is a year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Plays with that very well.
Another one with, Hadrian aura farming.
Yes.
I seized my octor's cloak to stop it fluttering in the wind, raised my hand for the next group of people who passed, feeling myself glued to the spot. All my life I have tried to escape this, precisely this. Those who have had no power lust for it, as a man alone lusts for his own harem, not understanding the truth of that object of his desire. Obtaining his harem, a man finds himself pulled apart by the demands of his women. He may satisfy himself, but that satisfaction lasts mere moments, while his women are never satisfied and ask him of more and more until he wishes he were alone once more. Power is no freedom, unless the man who exercises that power is a monster, and even then, he is free only for a time, for no man is free from consequence. It is a prison, a golden cage, as I have said many times. I had tried all my life to escape that cage.
Oh, baby.
Oh, just imagine Hadrian standing on the mat like a god.
Come on. The visuals. Oh. I must have highlighted, not even kidding, 300 different things in the book. So the hardest thing for me was to go, it was overwhelming. I just picked random ones that I highlighted because I'm not going over 300 different quotes.
Yeah.
And one of the really pretty ones here. I mean, got to get this scene in when the Sea Elson actually attack.
Mm-hmm.
How well this is written in the threat of it. Okay. The Sea Elson are coming, right? One moment there were stars. The next, we were plunged in darkness. The high window above our heads went black to save our eyes. Darkness. Night. Song. The music of bells rang out then, a dull and distant thunder. There changes a signal of the changing of our world. Sound travels so much more slowly than light, and by the time I turned my head and saw Selene standing barefoot in the pool beside me, her gown loose, puddling on the surface of the lake, 1,000,000 men were already dead. It was by the light of their deaths I saw her face. Then the ship lurched beneath our feet. The bells were ringing, and the stars beyond the skylight warped and twisted. Gododin vanished and was gone. It reappeared a moment later, less than half its previous size. I was already running, leaving Selene to trip after me, shouting words I did not hear. I was on the beaches of Umesh again, and it was Valka who pursued me, as the sky all filled with flame. The waves beneath my feet, artifacts of my every action, reflected the fire of 1,000 shattered ships. "Master!" Orphan's voice sounded in my ear. "Master! Master! They are here." Oh, then the chapter ends. The Cielson coming to attack and get, oh my God, like what, can we break down, what does Rocchio do here? What's he doing with his prose? Why is it hit? How do you hit for 375,000 words? How's it hit? What's he doing? Is it just because he has a degree in rhetoric?
I mean, that's part
I
of
have a Rocchio impression.
Okay.
Is it because he has a degree in rhetoric? Actually.
Actually.
I love
Because
it.
you actually need it.
You know he's cooking when he goes like, hey, all right, listen here. So Hadrian Marlowe, actually. And then you're like, all right, when he uses that word, you know he's like saying some words of wisdom. You know to focus, like, okay, I'm zoning in right now.
Yeah,
But
no.
how's he do it? What's the trick? You know, we were with Rocchio the whole weekend. We didn't ask this once. I don't know why.
Yeah, I probably should have asked
We were
that.
with him for like 12 hours.
We need to get the secrets out.
Yeah.
But we did not do that.
Is it just talent? What is it? How would you explain his prose?
I mean, he uses great descriptions, modifiers, analogies. It's all beautiful descriptions rather than. It also takes his time with it. It slows down in these important moments.
Yes.
Rather than just saying it got dark and he started running, it's going back and forth of spending time of like the sound, mentioning that the speed of sound is slower than the speed of light. It's by the light of the death of 1,000,000 men that I saw Seleni's face. And so it is bouncing
Playing with that imagery of, yeah.
So describing things that are not, you see what is happening without him saying it. Of me saying, him saying that goes, I know that Hadrian looked up, like doesn't even hear the sound yet, but sees the light of the dying ship shining on her face and lighting it up and seeing her horror. And as he looks up, he sees it. Then he hears the sound. Like, that's what happened. He didn't say that. He described it.
Yeah.
He showed it in the best way possible.
Instead of just obviously there's show don't tell, but you should tell a lot though, because if you show every scene like that, show the important scenes. But yeah, it's definitely that. It's the what a unique angle to describe it, because that whole that is really true. I like how you put that. Yes. Yeah, because then in a book that it could be a similar length where the prose doesn't feel as immersive, it's just kind of describing things as you'd expect it to be. Is that the wrong way of putting it? You know what I mean? Of just getting across the information. This doesn't just get across the information. It plays with the medium, which is words and prose, in order to try to get you to think more grand. His melodrama that Hadrian's constantly pontificating about, he even makes ideas, whether it's philosophy, sound more grand, or a battle feel more grand, which battles already are. Or there's a grandeur to it. So cool.
Well, it's always Rocchio utilizes the framed perspective of, this is not first person perspective of where we get to see Hadrian, like we get that emotional connection of like we're in the moment with them, because these characters, if it was in the moment, these characters would not be thinking these things. But because it's Hadrian in the future, he gets to slow down, focus on, give us additional details that we wouldn't if we were just in the moment.
He says that several times in the book where it's like he describes a bunch of things happening for a page, and he says all of that happened in less than the time it took me to write that.
Yeah.
He'll say that a couple times. Yeah.
So being able to emphasize the time, the history and scale, even the simple things of describing this person or thing, and it's saying that was the last time I ever saw them alive. And it's that stuff that gives you a sense of scale and feels old, historic, and epic.
Yeah, he doesn't just say that, hey, the sun dies, but the darkness consumed the light. It's just a, yeah. Here's another section here. This is back talking about, this is chapter 89, so toward the end, a couple chapters left. He says this: there are those among the scholiasts who say that history is made not by men, but by nature. These same bloodless men deny that man has any will at all, and cleave to the belief that we are beasts of pure necessity obeying the chemical impulses of our blood. There is no soul, they say, no will free from the command of hormone and genetic program. History, they say, is but a record of those mute, blind processes. War, famine, plague, flood, fire, climate. These men are fools, bloodless cretins who deny the freedom of the will to excuse their own inaction, their own vice. These forces impact history, but the real history, the truest tale, consists in man's response to these forces, for it is men who act, who choose to act, and men alone. A man had acted then, there, in that moment. I knew it. Oh, that's when he's talking about the Nicepherus getting killed by that person. Oh my goodness. So what just happens there too is that words and stuff like this, it's people recontextualizing and saying things that have been said before, right? Isn't new that he's talking about the argument from people who say the will doesn't exist. It's just he's talking determinism.
Yeah,
it's basically it described that entire poetics. It's people think determinism is the thing. It's just your nature and nurture that makes you cause every action, that you have no will of your own. And he's saying, no, it is free will. That's what he's saying here, which goes back to the thought-provoking nature, but how it's described there, and the passion behind Hadrian makes
the passion behind it is like these ignorant men that don't understand that man is the decider. It's just like, but it gives that glory, that feeling of like, not only is Hadrian right, but it is like gloriously right. It's not a whimpering, like,
commands it.
Well, technically, actually,
well,
it's none
technically, a queen's the queen's gambit doesn't actually sacrifice the queen. Actually, it's the pawn. Yeah, like me. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Would you rather be technically correct, or would you rather be
yours sounds cooler?
Dramatically,
I sacrifice the queen. Well, technically, the queen. Okay, Rich. Okay. All right.
My favorite, my favorite meme from YouTube is from Metal Gear Revengeance. I can never pronounce the name correctly, but hey, Metal Gear video game. Senator Armstrong asking, like, hey, why don't you Senator, like, nice argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with the source? And the Chad beefed, roided out of his mind Senator looks down, says, my source is that I made it the fuck up. Based, correct. That's Hadrian. Just like, these scholars, they like, no. Man who decides the glory, it's our reaction.
My source is Austin, episode 287. Right now. That's the source, right?
Yes, exactly.
I just said it.
I just said it. I said it. I manifested this truth.
Can I just say that paragraph again? I just love it. All right. There are those among the scholiasts who say that history is made not by men but by nature. These same bloodless men deny that man has any will at all and cleave to the belief that we are beasts of pure necessity, obeying the chemical impulses of our blood. There is no soul, they will say, no will free from the command of hormone and genetic program. History, they say, is but a record of these mute, blind processes. War, famine, plague, flood, fire, climate. These men are fools, bloodless cretins who deny the freedom of the will to excuse their own inaction, their own vice. These forces impact history, but the real history, the truest tale, consists in man's response to these forces, for it is men who act, who choose to act, and men alone.
That the key into that sentence is not just to deny, it's not necessarily a logical argument in the denial of
No.
determinism. It's the accusation. Instead of denying the argument, it's just saying, like, actually, you're not, like, I refuse to even acknowledge the argument. You are just trying to justify your own vice and inaction. It's making an accusation.
It's attacking rather than defending.
It's the same thing of, like, when an addict tries to justify their addiction and they're making this argument of, like, oh, well, actually,
it's good for my prostate.
It's good. let's choose a different addiction that's more YouTube friendly. But like a smoker trying to justify their addiction and saying like, actually, the nicotine is actually a mental stimulant and it's shown to increase testosterone production in men. Technically true, by the way. But trying to justify, and then ultimately, do you argue with the addict's argument, or do you just say, you are just arguing for this to justify your own vice and addiction? Your argument is irrelevant from your, like, I refuse to listen to an addict justify their addiction. That, like, it's more attack. Like, you're starting from a place of, like, you're just saying these things to justify your inaction.
It's just like case closed.
I like that.
Yeah, is this case closed? Free wills. Like, obviously, everybody agree. No, it doesn't mean that's the case. Actually, I would love.
It's a character attack rather than a logical attack.
I would love to get Rockio and Alex O'Connor on the pod at once and have a debate over free will and determinism. Because also, determinists like Alex O'Connor on there will make very sound and just as poetically interesting arguments. They're like, man,
yeah,
how do I counter that? And then the free will, like, man, how do you counter that? I'm just like batting my eyes back and forth. Oh, that would be so lovely to see them talk. People more intelligent than us debate that.
Yeah,
that'll be great.
I would like it.
Man, it's just so well done. And here's the thing that stood out in this section as well, which I think this is a big takeaway for any writer. All of that there are those among this class who say that history all of this monologuing there, soliloquy, all of that is only being said because the orphan was killed by Nicephorus. And
no, Orphan was killed by Lorien.
Yeah, Lorien, sorry. Nicephorus was killed by the Sentinel. My bad. Yes. Yeah. Nicephorus was just killed by a Sentinel, and the action happens, but because it's such a significant action, a lot of time is focused on why this was big. So it makes this, Hadrian makes this big statement. It goes longer than that too, about contextualizing why that just happened, or just giving an analogy or giving a description more into that scene to, one, cue to the reader, hey, that's a big deal. So it sticks in the reader's head of, okay, that the last person with the key to the genome's dead. That's big. We know it's big, but Hadrian focusing so much on it shows that as well. So the more, obviously more time dedicated to it, more interesting. But he doesn't just go Nicephorus dead and his reactions like, I was horrified. I thought, oh my goodness, what just happened? The world just changed forever. Is awful. Prose you'll actually see in books. You will see that in fantasy a lot of the time. Like that was the blood curled everywhere. It was horrible. The world was forever changed. Like that could be in a book.
Yeah,
very
certainly.
easily, right? This. It talks now, it goes on the big macro philosophy of somebody who would say that history can't be changed that way. Or then it will go like when the Cialcin are attacking, then it will contextualize in that way of just the light, the view of light being different. Not just the sun exploded, but Selene's reaction as the light glimmered off. Oh, just bang! Well, bang! Bang!
It's what
bang.
Here's the thing. It's fun when something grand and larger than life is happening, Rockio will zoom in of like that grand thing and zoom, like focus down to the light focusing on Selene's face and her horror.
But then vice versa.
Very specific, important moment detail. Like
the person dies.
The person dies, shot heard around the world. Not talk about that moment specifically.
Talk big.
Talk about something else, like bigger than that moment.
Yes.
And then relate it back to that. But it is separate.
Go the opposite. But then zoom in or zoom out.
But specifically making the reader think they're almost unrelated. Not saying like
and then directly saying
directly saying this was such a big deal. It was the makings of history. It's going like history is often determined by the logical. They say that it's feels like we're taking an aside, but it actually is related.
That's both what ways. He does a lot in his writing. It's beautifully done. Wow.
What a book.
I don't want to stop. It's over now. What do we do? There are endings, Richard.
And thing is,
this is one?
This is just one of them. And you know what? But thing is, this is not the ending, reader, listener, watcher. this going out this coming Friday, when you see this video, we will be having our interview with Rockio in person that we were able to conduct at his library, where we asked him some questions and talked about his series as a whole.
Well, his house, yeah.
At his house. So be sure to watch that. And of course, comment below. We will be continuing to talk to Rockio about his book series, The Suneater. So ask us some questions down below, comments here, and the next video upcoming in this Friday. What do you want us to ask him? What burning questions do you have about this series, about his writing style? Let us know. We'll try and gather that. And for a video upcoming after this week, we'll be asking him.
Man, what a great series.
What a fantastic series.
Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
We got to get just this final thing in here. How would you rank the series?
Shadows Upon Time, Disquiet Gods. Then Demon in White. Ashes of Man.
Whoa.
No. Howling Dark, Ashes of Man. Then
And Kingdoms of Death? Well,
Kingdoms of Death. Then I believe
interesting.
Empire of Silence.
You put Ashes above Kingdoms of Death?
Yes.
Okay. I thought that was one you disliked more. No? With the slap?
I disliked that moment.
Oh.
Like I
like
find
the
it
book more
logical and
Kingdoms of Death? Oh, okay.
consistent, but I think that book is really good.
Oh, neat. Well, yeah, I would have to go Shadows Upon Time, Disquiet Gods, Howling Dark, Demon in White, Kingdoms of Death, Ashes of Man, Empire of Silence. That's where I'm at right now. We're going to be talking more Suneater, like you'll see next week. If you like what you just saw, give the video a like. Check out our Patreon if you want to do monthly book clubs, join our community. Also, check out World Anvil. Thank you for sponsoring the episode. And thank you to all the community that we hung out with at the gala and Christopher for being super kind to us and writing these awesome books. Man, what an ending. What an ending. But we're all just a part of a greater story, aren't we? I'm just upset I didn't come up with a chess analogy, but I guess that's it for now. You do one.
You want me to do?
Yeah,
one?
just come up with something.
I don't play chess.
It would be funnier.
Okay.
If you mentioned the castle and miss, it's not a castle, Christopher.
In the same way that most chess pieces, like authors, are move one space at a time. They move forward. There has to be a direct path. Often with Rockio's writing, he's more like the horsey. He jumps.
Goodbye. We're not saying a horsey.
He jumps
Goodbye.
over pieces
Have
to
a great
get to
time.
his point.
Goodbye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.